Illegal dumping and littering is a concern across the Gladstone region, with over 134 offences in the last 18 months. Our region is beautiful, but there are a few bad apples that ruin it for the rest of us, and they need to clean up their act.
Commonly found items at illegal dumping sites across the region include car bodies and batteries, mattresses, tyres, white goods and furniture, and green waste. These items can be disposed of at any of the region's waste transfer stations, some of them even for free.
Illegal dumping and littering pollutes our environment, harms plants and animals, and detracts from the enjoyment of our public spaces. It can lead to stormwater and ocean pollution, with large amounts of plastic, sugar sachets and cigarette butts caught in stormwater traps and grates.
It's cheaper for everyone to dispose of waste correctly. Illegal dumping and littering costs our ratepayers thousands of dollars each year in waste management and clean-up. It's also costly for our dumper, with penalties of up to $10,000.
We can all work together to keep our region beautiful and dispose of waste responsibly by placing rubbish in the bins, or even holding onto the rubbish until you're near a suitable bin, and using our local waste facilities. Don't be part of the problem of pollution. We want you to be a part of the solution.
From towns to the bush, illegal dumping and littering is everybody's responsibility. Protect our public spaces and natural environment by doing the right thing for today and tomorrow.
If you see illegal dumping,
Dob in a dumper.
See it,
Report it,
stop it.
Well, good morning. The time being 9 a.m, I declare open the general meeting for the Gladstone Regional Council for Tuesday the 6th of December 2022. We have an apology from Councillor Branthwaite. Can I have a mover that apology be accepted, please? Thank you, Councillor Churchill. Second to Councillor O'Grady. All in favour? Motion's carried. Thank you. The next item on the agenda is messages of condolence. Councillors, do we have any messages of condolence? No messages of condolence. The next item on the agenda is prior notifications of conflicts of interest. Councillor O'Grady.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I, Councillor Desley O'Grady, advise that I have a declarable conflict of interest in item agenda 6.4.3, request of negotiated decision material decision notice for DA 28/2022 material change of use of premises for an educational establishment on 2774 Roundhill Road, Agnes Water. As my brothers Neil and John Murgard own property within 150 metres of the proposed development site. Although I have a declarable conflict of interest, I believe that COVID brain. I believe that it would be in the public interest for me to participate in the discussion for the following reasons. I am confident in my ability to make an unbiased decision that is in the public's interest, and my knowledge of Agnes Water area community will assist Council to make the best decision in the public interest.
Thank you, Councillor O'Grady. Councillors, any questions for Councillor O'Grady before I ask for a mover to determine whether Councillor O'Grady can remain in the room? Questions?
Yes, thank you. It was just you said 150 metres of the proposed site. Is that?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
Across the road.
Is that the only basis in which you?
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
No worries. Any further questions, councillors? Would someone like to move whether Councillor O'Grady remain or leave the room? Councillor Goodluck.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. Happy to move that Councillor O'Grady's free to remain in the room without and participate in the discussion without restriction.
Thank you, Councillor Goodluck. Seconded, Councillor Cameron. Any further discussion? Put the motion. All in favour? Motion's carried. Thank you, Councillor O'Grady. Will remain in the room. I also have a conflict of interest, which I previously declared, and that conflict is in relation to agenda item G 4.1, commercial lease proposal for a private aquatic centre development in Boyne Island, and I'll be leaving the room for that discussion and handing over to the Deputy Mayor to chair. Is there any further conflicts of interest, councillors? No, thank you. I'll move to the next item on the agenda, which is the Mayor's statement on current issues. And it's been a bit of a busy time in the Gladstone region, obviously getting into the festive season, but also we recently saw the opening of the Aquaculture Gladstone. I know many councillors attended that with the team at the Gladstone Area Water Board. It's the new multi-species fish hatchery at Awonga Dam, so it's fantastic to see that new facility open. Of course, on Wednesday the 23rd of November, we saw the launch of the 75th Brisbane to Gladstone Yacht Race, which will take place, of course, from Good Friday at Shorncliffe and arrive in Gladstone over the Easter weekend for a 75 years celebration of that Blue Water Classic. On the 25th of November, we had the Calliope Carols, and Councillor O'Grady attended that. Thank you, Councillor. And of course, we had the Boyne Carols the Sunday before that as well. And then the Mayor's Carols were on Friday night just gone, and I can tell you it was an absolutely huge event, probably the biggest carols and biggest crowd I've seen in, if not ever, but certainly for many, many years. Well done to 4CC and the team for organising that, and of course to all the volunteers that get involved in the Mayor's Carols. Thank you to Santos GLNG for sponsoring as well. On Saturday, the big day, straight after that, we had the Ulysses Toy Run. Of course, we're organising toys for the Salvation Army, and the Phillip Street Communities Precinct celebrated their first birthday, and we opened the library precinct there as well. So for those residents around the Sun Valley Kincore area or Clinton Park, you now have a library a lot closer to you than the main street. So that's fantastic to see that library facility open there. Congratulations again to Kylie and her team at the Phillip Street Communities Precinct for putting on a huge event. I believe it was something like 1,800 snags were cooked and 400 cheeseburgers. It was absolutely ridiculous. The cake was all gone and 300 cupcakes, so the community certainly came out in force to enjoy the Phillip Street's Community Precinct's first birthday and Community Fun Day. Councillor Churchill attended the Baffle Creek Men's Shed opening on Saturday the 3rd as well. Thank you, Councillor Churchill. And then on Sunday the 4th, many councillors were attending, as was the community, the Christmas tree party and the lighting of the Christmas tree in Gundoon Street. And yesterday I launched the Stockland Mayor's Giving Tree. Obviously, it's similar to the Kmart Wishing Tree, where the idea is you put a gift under the tree and then we hand it to the Salvos, and they'll make sure a family in our local community have those gifts for Christmas, and ensure all our children in the Gladstone region and all families have an opportunity to celebrate Christmas. Upcoming events in our region, of course, is the 25th birthday celebration for the Christmas Tree Extravaganza in Boyne Island. And then we have our our New Year's Eve, it's not Christmas after this, our New Year's Eve party on the 31st of December. All the details are on Council's website. That will be at the GPC Marina Parklands. We have our Festival of Summer from the 9th to the 13th of January. Absolutely encouraging every family to get involved in that as well. Of course, there's lots of activities for the kids there as well. And many of them are free, or some are very, very inexpensive activities to keep the kids entertained at that time of the Christmas holidays or school holidays when they are starting to get bored. And our Australia Day event this year, in partnership with the Gladstone Ports Corporation for the first time ever, will be at East Shores, which is fantastic as well. So looking forward to our first ever Australia Day festivities on January 26th at East Shores. But more importantly today, councillors and members of the gallery and those watching online, it gives me great pleasure to recognise the service and contribution of Cole Armour, Council's longest serving employee in known history. Cole and his wife Angela are in attendance in the gallery today. On the 23rd of January 1975, I wasn't one yet, still a baby, Cole started his career with council as a truck driver. Cole's 47 years of experience and skills are welcomed in our operations team as part of our roads program delivery team, and he will be missed as he enjoys long service leave over the coming months. Cole has a multi-generational connection with council, with himself obviously working for council for 47 years, his father also working for council for more than 40 years, and I believe his grandfather worked for council as well. So family's connections to council around about 100 years for our local community. This is an outstanding commitment, not only just to council, but to our community as well. And we sincerely thank you, Cole, for your dedication and your commitment. And we wish you health and happiness as you enjoy your long service and no doubt possibly retirement after that, but long service leave at this point in time. And we just want to say thank you on behalf of our community and on behalf of everyone here at council. Cheers. And we will be having a special morning tea for Cole and Angela this morning. But at the moment, we have to keep going on with the agenda. So, Cole, you don't have to sit through that if you don't want to. But you're welcome to stay as well. Okay, councillors, the next item on the agenda before we move to our deputation is the confirmation of minutes. G2.1 is the confirmation of the general meeting minutes for the 15th of November 2022. Can I have a mover, please? Move Councillor Hanson, second Councillor Trevor. All in favour? Motion is carried. Thank you. Councillors, we do have a deputation. G3.1 is from NBN Local, and I'd like to welcome Scott Rowe, Community Engagement Manager for NBN Local, to present his deputation. Thank you. Scott.
Thanks very much, Mr Mayor. To you, the CEO and the councillors, very good morning to you. Thanks for having me today. May I also take the liberty of passing on my congratulations to Cole. It's in this day and age, you don't see too many serving one organisation for that period of time, so congratulations and enjoy the long service. Thank you for your time this morning, councillors. It's a great opportunity for me to introduce NBN Local to you again and have a chat about some exciting network upgrades that are occurring right across our region, and particularly the Gladstone region as well. So I thank you for that. We always have a little bit of confusion in the community as to NBN's role and overall connectivity. So just to set that straight from the outset, the NBN network has nothing to do with the mobile network at all. NBN have built the infrastructure, built the railway line, but we don't operate any of the trains on it. There's 100-odd retail service providers that provide those services, so we are a wholesaler. We don't actually sell anything from that perspective. Who are NBN Local? NBN Local are the regional development and engagement team with NBN Co. It's been around almost 3 years now, NBN Local, and there's three of us that work across this region, so the 8 local governments starting from Gympie up to Gladstone, out to Banana and everywhere in between. So there's three roles. There's myself as the Community Engagement Manager, so I work with large industry, with the different levels of government, with the politicians to try and get co-investment to upgrade specific areas of concern or opportunity across the network. We have a business lead, Deb Mead, who's based out of Bundaberg. She works with the Chambers of Commerce and directly with business to assist business. We also have a full-time community ambassador, Karen Shipp, who is based out of the Sunshine Coast, and Karen's role is to work with community to help lift that digital capability and digital literacy across the region. So she comes and will work with organisations across any of the areas to help lift that digital literacy, provide Internet 101, particularly for the vulnerable and older population that don't have the uptake of the digital services that others do. How is the NBN network delivered across the Gladstone region? Well, there's three different technologies. There's fibre, and that's delivered across three ways. There's fibre to the premise, which is a direct fibre capability into your business or residence. There's fibre to the curb, which is to the curb in the street and then delivered over the existing copper network into your home or business. And then there's fibre to the node, where the node can be a few hundred metres away. The fibre is delivered to the node, and then that is delivered along the existing copper network into your home or business from that perspective. There's also an expansed fixed wireless network, so that's from fixed wireless towers across the region, and they require a direct line of sight to an antenna on your home or business, and that's the way that the technology is delivered. And then for remote areas, there's satellite technology, where satellite there's two NBN satellites in the sky, so information is relayed from the satellite antenna on your roof through to the satellite to ground station and back, and that's predominantly satellites offered to everywhere across Australia from that perspective. So they're the different technologies that are utilised. Why is our digital literacy important? The good news for Gladstone is you're leading the way across the Wide Bay Burnett and Surrounds region from an Australian Digital Inclusion Index, which is a measure of digital literacy across the region. But you'll see there that our region does fall well and truly below state and national averages for digital literacy. So we need to work as a community, as leaders, to try and lift that so that we're not leaving anybody behind with increasing digital literacy. I was just talking to councillor here before about what's creeping in, as we're calling digital discrimination. We now see that increasing number of businesses and organisations are acquiring everything to be done online. We've seen it with the banking industry. We see it with fast food restaurants now and our shopping chains and that sort of thing. So the vulnerable, or those that don't have that digital literacy, are further being left behind by not receiving those discounts and being able to access those services. So it's things that we need to address because it's an increasing problem in our society. But the good news for Gladstone is you are the best of the bunch from that perspective. The good news that I'm here to discuss today is the new federal Labor government and NBN have announced $750 million to upgrade every fixed wireless tower across Australia, including across this region. There'll be no new towers as part of it. That's business as usual, but the upgrade of these towers will provide improved services to fixed wireless customers, and will also bring 120,000 current satellite customers off the satellite program and into the fixed wireless program, which will be an improvement also. What it'll do is it'll include 5G technology. So currently, if you've got a direct line of sight to a fixed wireless tower within about 14 kilometres, you'll pick up that service. This will double that range. So that's how it's picking up satellite customers as part of that, and it'll also offer increased speeds as part of that as well. As part of the upgrades, once those towers are done, there will be outages. They will be done predominantly at night to limit impact, but there will be impacts across the communities during that time. The retail service providers will let their customers know, and NBN Local will also be out giving you warning prior to and during those outages so that everyone's got the information that they require. So a little bit of short-term pain for that longer-term gain. What will the new speed tiers allow? There'll be to 100% of customers, there will be a minimum of 100 megabytes per second download. And I can tell you, I live in Harvey Bay and I have fibre to the node, and I'm getting about 65-20 upload download at the moment. So that's going to be faster than some of the existing fibre network when it comes. So it's really going to be a big advantage. And for up to 85% of customers, they'll be able to access a service that's 250 megabytes per second and 20 down from that perspective. So they are real improvements in the current services that are available. The Gladstone outer region does have a lot of fixed wireless customers, so it is going to be a benefit across the region from that perspective. Also, what that does is it help us improve the Sky Muster service as well. As I discussed earlier, from July 1 this year, you'll see that now for 16 hours a day, there's no data charges for your downloads from that perspective. So previously, one of the criticisms of the satellite plans were that you were being charged a lot of data and you had to have large amounts of data. Now, from midnight till 4 p.m. each day, if you're downloading, that's not counting towards your data charges. So that's a big improvement for satellite customers as well from that perspective. Also, unfortunately, our region, as we know, and as we have envisaged in most recent times, we are very prone to natural disasters. And NBN does have a range of temporary assets that are available through local district disaster management and DDMG groups. So we have our satellite muster trucks that can be taken into areas that will provide a satellite Wi-Fi service for impacted communities. Here at the Gladstone Entertainment Centre, you have a disaster service there as your evacuation centre, which provides 365-day-a-year Wi-Fi service, particularly during disaster times or evacuation times. And we also have portable flyaway kits, which are satellite kits, which come in 3 briefcases. They're about 30 kilos each. They can be choppered into any situation. So if you have an isolated community that has no connectivity, we can, depending upon a priority, so we have an emergency management group that manages these assets during times of natural disaster. Unfortunately, as we know, natural disasters don't stick to their local government boundaries, so it is a priority access. But NBN do have a range of assets across the community that can be made available to assist during those periods of times. And I do sit on the LDMG and the DDMG locally. It's actually meeting as we speak this morning, so obviously you're a priority from that perspective. Meeting this morning, yeah, 9 o'clock. No, DDMG. Yeah. So really, I just want to give you a very quick overview of some of the positives that are occurring with those $750 million improvements to the fixed wireless service. Also, the fibre services. So there's a Fibre Connect program. The federal government has committed $1.2 billion to increasing fibre, and the Gladstone region is also benefiting from those fibre upgrades. So they're predominantly from node to premise, and they'll be occurring ongoing as well from that perspective. So thank you, Mr Mayor, for your time. Happy to take any questions either now or on notice to get back to you later.
No worries. I might start off with a question. The towers that you're upgrading, are they allowed for co-location of other providers?
Yes, so from a local government perspective, we understand that you don't want to be approving new towers all of the time. The towers are determined on the best place for them to be able to get that line of sight for the most number of customers. But where practical and where possible, we always look to co-locate with the retail service providers from that perspective.
Is there any restrictions though? Like say a local provider here in Gladstone wanted to up on one of your towers, what's the process for them to do
so
that?
that's a matter of talking through legal and just making contact with NBN and then working out from that perspective if that's the best co-location alternative.
Okay, and that's the plan, is to try and get them on there rather than not to keep competition out?
Everyone's preference is to, if we could have one tower for all the services, it would be a preference for everybody. But
I just know that not necessarily NBN, but we do have a local provider in our region. Not many communities have a local provider, and other organisations have tried to push him off towers before, so we don't see that sort of thing happening.
Be worth having the conversation.
Yeah, all right. Councillors, any further questions? Councillor Churchill and then Councillor Hanson.
Yeah, thanks, Mayor. Thanks, Scott. Appreciate the update. Just, I suppose, a segue from Mayor Matt's question, maybe to try and dispel some rumours. You indicated there that there's no new towers going in, but are you putting in any on any other infrastructure? Because with the 5G, because there has been discussions in the community that you perhaps may be using ergon towers or light poles or any other type of infrastructure. So I'd just like to get that clarified.
Sure. Councillor, it's the existing fixed wireless towers that are in place that will be upgraded with the new technology, so 5G, but also improvements to the existing 4G that's available. That's part of this program, part of that $750 million, but other investment in new towers and those sort of things we look at through other government programs, such as the Regional Connectivity Program. So that's where we look to work with local government and state government and look at some sort of co-investment. So if you've got areas or issues of priority, but yeah, as part of this program, there's no new towers as part of that. But if there are opportunities and further funding through some of the regional grant funds, then absolutely we're interested in looking at them. So I know particularly Baffle Creek and areas like that, we've got a stakeholder roundtable in 7070 Agnes Waters next week to talk to some of the key stakeholders down there about some of the network opportunities from that perspective. So we're happy to have those conversations and are regularly touching base with Gladstone Council around.
No, I'm pleased to hear that, because having been down in that Discovery Coast area there on the weekend, it is a topic of discussion. Just a point of clarification, you indicated there that, not the digital discrimination, was the spread. You're actually going 14 kilometres now? Now,
yes.
And now you're going to double to 28 kilometres.
So the new technology will double that if there's a clear line of sight. So if you've got mountains in the way now, obviously it's not going to penetrate through mountains. But basically, this new upgrades will double the existing range from a fixed wireless tower, given line of sight.
Great, thank you. The sooner you have those discussions down the southern end of the region will be good. Thank you.
You stole my thunder, Councillor. My question was about rural and remote as well. And as long as you're working with that side of our community, because we're a big region, so and there are some problems, as we've just heard there. So,
So, Councillor, I have provided that'll be absolutely good. I have provided some confidential maps to Council as well, which will show that increased coverage. So some of those areas will be picked up as part of that expansion with the increased coverage, but there are other areas that have geographic issues that we need to look at other solutions for, and we're working on those with you and other partners.
Councillor Cameron.
Yes, thanks, Mayor. How secure is the satellite system for interference? Someone logging into data or information being downloaded or uploaded?
Yeah, Council, it's not my expertise area, but I know NBN takes that cyber security very, very seriously, and we do have our own department, which is regarded as leading the way around cyber security. So from a satellite perspective, we haven't had any issues previously.
would you consider that as secure as your line, your fibre and what have you?
Yes, it all runs through similar cybersecurity risks and assessments.
Any further questions, councillors? No. Can I have a mover that the deputation from NBN Local be received, please? Thank you, Councillor Muscat. Seconded, Councillor O'Grady. All in favour? Thank you, and thank you, Scott.
Thanks very much. Thank you.
Councillors, the next item on the agenda is our officers' reports, and the first officers' report is G4.1, which is the commercial lease proposal for a private aquatic centre development, Boyne Island. Before I hand over the Deputy Mayor, I just want to say that I've declared a conflict and I'll be leaving. However, councillors, if this conversation goes beyond 10:30, I'd like the Deputy Mayor to pull it up because we have special guests in the audience, and you can continue the debate afterwards if it goes for longer than an hour. So we have special guests who have spent 47 years at our local council, and we will be honouring them at morning tea. And if the debate on this item goes longer than that, please, Deputy, pull it up. Thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. We have our orders. Over to you. Over to you, Carly. Thank you.
And starting now. Good morning, councillors, our guests today and those watching online. This report's presented for your consideration of the Zendev Proprietary Limited proposal to enter into a commercial lease agreement for the private aquatic centre development at Boyne Island. In August, a property and construction proponent, Zendev, submitted a new proposal to council to commercially lease with an option to buy their aquatic centre development as an alternative pathway to deliver an aquatic recreation centre for the Boyne Tanham community. For ease, I'll refer to the proponent as Zendev during this discussion. Key elements of the proposal are no capital contribution required from council toward cost of construction. Council leases the facility for a term of 20 years. Council pay an annual lease fee or rent of $1.5 million per annum. Annual rent review, currently estimated at 4% annually. Opportunity for council to purchase the facility at predetermined intervals. Those are at either project completion, end of first year of lease, or end of second year of lease. And this would be an estimated purchase price of around $25 million, but it is pending market valuation. Council is responsible for general repairs and asset maintenance. Zendev also provided incentives in the proposal which allow council to be able to select one of the below options. First 12 months rent free, first 6 months rent free, and Zendev cover the operating costs for that 6 months, or third-party operator provided by Zendev to operate the facility for the first 12 months to establish baseline operating data and support council to outwork its preferred operating model. Various specialist officers business-wide have undertaken an assessment in accordance with Council's investment decision framework and our relevant policies and corporate standards, including our risk management policy and our debt policies. The report articulates the financial modelling undertaken and the risks and opportunities evaluated to support and inform your decision or your consideration of the decision on this investment opportunity. And I welcome Erickson Noakes, our strategic project specialist who coordinated the review of this opportunity. We also have Jessica Rosso here in the room here today, our systems modelling and metrics specialist who led the financial modelling, and they're both available to answer any questions you have about the proposal and the investment. Happy to take the report as read and welcome any questions to further assist you to make your decision.
Thanks, Carly. Any questions, councillors? This could be a quick one. Councillor Muscat.
Thank you. I don't really have any questions, but I wanted to make a comment. First of all, I wanted to thank Eric, Carly, the team, Jessica, and I know other people that have been involved in this. I believe you conducted yourself really professionally throughout the whole of the of what we will call, I guess, this activity. So I really commend you for that. So you have helped us, and I believe you also have helped a lot of other groups around with information. You kept connected, you kept informing people, and I know that you spent a lot of time, Eric and Carly, on this. So thank you. So the information in the report, to me, it's very thorough, is sufficient for me to make a decision. And I will be supporting the office's recommendation. I'd love to move it as well. And I believe that I'm basing that judgment on making sure that we make responsible investment decisions. I don't believe this is economically responsible for us, and I also have I also like to, I guess, engage in business with people that have similar values and similar, values, pretty much. So we always open to partner. We partner constantly with lots of people, businesses, organisations, etc., and we do that most of the time very well. So I know there's been said sometimes about us not wanting to partner, or I don't think that's the case. We do that very well. We do lots of things very well. Your team's done things very well, in my view, and that I'm talking about this specific proposal. Now, when it comes to the other pool that we are working on, I also think I'm very confident in that process as well, which has been one of the first ones I've seen going throughout the whole investment decision framework, and I'm very proud of that framework, and I'm really proud of us working through it. So, economically, value speaking, I'm basing those. My decision on those two things. I will be supporting the officer's recommendation, and I would like to move it.
Thanks, Councillor Muscat. We have a mover. Do we have a seconder before we go to Councillor Cameron? I'm happy to second the motion. So move Councillor Muscat, seconding myself. Councillor Cameron.
Thank you, Karen. Look, the ZenDev offer commercially is very sound. The construction price I thought was pretty keen. The rental price of $1.5 million, whilst it sounds a lot of money, commercially that's quite sound too, because it's commercially recognised that if you take the value of the leased property and apply a 10% figure to that, that generally is accepted as a reasonable rental for an annual rent on a commercial premises. The 4%, generally, it's pretty much in line. I think the traditional figure that would be used is, historically, it's around 3%, and generally they apply 3% or CPI, whichever be the greater. They've elected to go with 4%, and that's a risk that they're taking. So the offer is really commercially quite sound. The problem is with the business model as lease. Lease is always a very, very expensive way of conducting business, and this is no exception to that. Because when you lease, you bring other entities into your project, and in this instance here we've got 4 entities. We've got the council, we've got the development company, we've got a commercial financier, and we've got the lot owner. With every entity that comes in to the deal, they bring with them a certain element of risk, although it be very, very small. It's still there. In the case of the council's project, it's standalone with the council. The only entity that would be brought into that would be Treasury if we elected to go and seek external finance. So to me, there's more security there. I did a little bit of a summary on where we would land on a lease purchase over a 10-year period. And the figures are a little bit astounding, really. So if we lease for 10 years and then seek an option to buy, at the end of 10 years we would have paid in excess of $18 million in lease payments. That's on the 4%. So when you look at the purchase side of things, we're looking at $25 million plus the outlay of the $18 million. So there is $43 million outlay in total for the centre. If you applied that 4% to the capital cost of the building over 10 years, that's pretty frightening. And at the end of 10 years, for the $25 million offered up would, after 10 years, would be $35.6 million. That would be the absolute worst case scenario, but what that would be would be a reasonable cost of replacement of the asset after 10 years. And as far as insurance is concerned, when they offer insurance out, they always consider the replacement value as opposed to the commercial value, which are two totally different things. So that being said, even if we didn't have another option, which is the Coronation Drive option, I don't know that our community would be accepting of spending that sort of money over that period of time. So again, their deal is commercially sound, but to me the leasing model is not. And for that reason alone, I would support the officer's recommendation today. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Cameron. Any further questions, councillors? Councillor Churchill, and then we'll go to Councillor Hanson.
Yeah, thanks for that. Thank you for that, Carly, and thank you, Eric, and everybody involved to get it to this stage. And I tend to agree with you, Councillor Cameron, that the business model is exemplary, but when you really drill into it, the impact on our ratepayers for the future in the long term. I think the other part of it too, from my perspective, and we've read enough on lots of different reports that have been continually provided, but I still believe, in essence, at the end of the day, the showstopper, and it's highlighted in there, is the risk that we have is to relinquish the election commitment. That's why Mayor Matt's out of the room, is that, the $15 million was an election commitment for the community facility, and the community of Boyne, Tannum and surrounds, and those that want to be there in the future, deserve to have such an aquatic centre. But the risk is we lose the 15 million if we were to go in any other direction. And I suppose the last part of it, and it's highlighted in there, is that we're dealing with the Australian government, and the department has clearly stipulated and articulated that any private partnership, even though there's some inconsistency, I think as Councillor Trevor identified recently, some inconsistencies about the Australian government's determination on what is private-public partnerships, the PPPs, but the department has clearly indicated in writing that, in essence, if we go on a private profit process or project, the 15 million will be ineligible. So, from my perspective, I believe that at the end of the day is also part of the showstopper for the ZENDEV project. And thank ZENDEV for their continued commitment. They obviously identify that there's a need as well, but at the end of the day, I don't believe we can afford to risk losing $15 million. That's for CapEx.
Councillor Hanson.
Thank you.
Yes, I commend the team that put the options analysis together, and looking at the risk analysis for this project. I have to agree with what everybody's already said. Councillor Cameron gave us some very good insight as well. Looking at the $15 million that won't be put on the table if it's a private development. Looking at the cost analysis to ratepayers for several options that we've got there, and that's in everybody can see that in the paperwork. There's no option for me to go with a private lease at the moment, and for us, as Councillor Muscat said, that to follow the options that we have as a council with our own project and make sure that we can build this for the community as soon as possible.
Thanks, Councillor Hanson. Councillor O'Grady.
Thank you, Councillor Khan. I just had a question. I know we looked at doing something on that block of land ourselves back in the when we first started doing the feasibility studies and whatever. We looked at that block of land.
No, we didn't.
The ZENDEV block. There was 3 blocks that we actually had a look at. Yes, I do. Yeah. So we did look at some that particular ZENDEV's block. What could we actually excise some land off there and council actually own part, like build the pool there? To me, I think that's probably the better site. But beg to differ. But The biggest problem is if then, you know, when they do the project, they actually could use it and whatever else, the yacht club and whatever else. But my biggest concern was then, if we built it there, for instance, you know, move the whole thing to Zendeb's block, Excise Council owned that block, then the biggest problem is like swimming club and whatever else. That's what concerns me. They wouldn't be able to utilise it when they wanted to, or we would put restrictions on something like that. Or had we thought about doing something like that? Sorry, I'm post-COVID on this.
I might just try and clarify the question first,
Yeah.
if that's okay. So if we were to purchase, for example, part of that private block and to develop the council-owned and council-constructed aquatic facility on that portion, and the question is, would the swimming club and the community still have access, for example, like they would if we were to build it on our current preferred site?
Which I'm
Is that the
thinking,
question?
yes, I am, which I'm thinking, yes, they would, because, but, you know, just with the joint venture, I was just looking at something like that, you know, to, you know, it seems crazy to have two pools down at Tenham, or Tenham and Boyne, so I'm just trying to work out a way to only have one.
I guess technically the answer is purchasing a piece of land, if it were made available for sale and if it was subdivided and if it was at the right price, that potentially is possible. We did, I think you're referring to the assessment of the land that we did when we initially did the feasibility study, and that piece of land was ruled out, predominantly because we didn't own it, and obviously the risks associated with that. I might just defer to Eric as well to see if he's got any other commentary, because he was involved in that feasibility piece of work as well.
Very much the sentiment that council didn't own that land, so there would be a capital expenditure to council to first acquire it, and that parcel of land has limitations by virtue of its size. So council's preferred site is obviously much larger, so it enables council for future development or expansion of its facility when it's built.
Thanks, Erickson, you said exactly what I wanted to hear.
Councillor Cameron.
Yeah, look, just further to that, Leslie, another thing we've got to consider too is that if the project was relocated to that site, and the overall project that is proposed for there, which is a yacht club, a marina and a 60-room motel, that would be competing for usage on the pool as well. So that would impact on the ability of your swim clubs, your schools and everything else. So that is an issue that I think we've got to consider as well. That what we're aiming to do is to put a facility primarily here for our community. And that's our primary concern. To put it in there in the right place for the cheapest amount of money and the least amount of impact on our people. And I think that site is the best, because I think we're only using probably about 1/3 of the footprint of the aquatic centre on that block of land. So 1.7 as opposed, what's the overall? Well, that's a fair bit. So we've got a lot of green space there. Okay. I do believe it's the better site, personally.
Thanks, Councillor Cameron. No further questions, councillors? All good? All right, we have a mover in Councillor Muscat, seconded by myself. I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Declare it carried. Thank you. Can we invite Mayor Matt back in? Sorry, Councillor Trevor.
Sorry. Now that the decision has been made and we have 45 minutes to go, would officers be kind enough to explain to me and the general public, given that my wife tells me this is a very topical issue on Facebook, not that I follow Facebook, could you just now give me perhaps sorry, Matt.
Sorry, Mr. Mayor, we might...
Could you just provide myself and the general members of the public who are interested in this topic a timeline in relation to where to from here, and what hurdles we have to jump, what funding agreements we have to sign with the federal government, just a general idea so that the community today is made aware of the issues that still have to be resolved, the problems we still have to confront, and perhaps the good news we will be able to deliver at some point in the future. And at what point will that be, or likely to be, or possibly be, or probably be? Because I think a lot of people out there, I suspect, are keen to see this development proceed and be delivered, whether it be by this council or a future council, depending on, again, the timeline. I think everybody's keen to know where to from here and how long this will take, and at what point will the first person, it won't be me, will have the opportunity to jump into this pool. Sorry, Aquatic Centre.
I'll let Eric provide an update, as he is the lead for the Boyne-Tanham Aquatic Recreation Centre.
All right, thanks, Carly. Very good question, Councillor Trevor. I suppose the best way for me to sum this up is, as the project is maturing through your investment decision framework policy, we're making sure we're, crossing the T's and dotting the I's. But essentially, there are still quite a number of factors that are influencing the pace of this project. The most poignant one is the $15 million. Council hasn't yet received its terms and conditions for that funding, but it's likely that that funding will have a 3-year time frame based on the elected government that's making that commitment on the day. So from a project management perspective, we're working to that 3-year time frame, albeit we haven't seen it written on a piece of paper, and we've had no delegated authority signing to enter that contract. The other factor that we're working with is our development application process. That process has started. We're expecting an outcome in April. And once we have a clear understanding of what conditions council might be conditioned to in relation to that project, we'll address that through the detailed design phase, which we've also commenced the procurement documentation process. So there's a lot of things we're working on that we're running concurrently to make sure that we're not delaying where it's unnecessary, but we are following a prudent process. Once council makes its final investment decision, then we'll be able to enter, go out to market and see what providers can actually deliver the facility for us. So the most poignant thing, I think, for the community is understanding that council is working, I suppose, within a 3-year time frame, and the guiding factor of that is making sure we deliver what terms and conditions come with the $15 million.
And so,
during that time also, sorry to interrupt, Councillor Goodluck, we will try to seek for further external funding. $15 million is not going to build us the pool, we know that, but the business is looking to secure external funding from other avenues, including the state, to deliver this project, to further drive that impact on the community.
thanks, Eric. Very good question, Councillor Trevor. Very topical question.
Just a quick question, and a brief one. I think we just got to get our terminology right now. You've said pool a few times, and Councillor Trevor's going to jump in the pool. It's an aquatic centre which incorporates a pool. That correct?
Yes, Councillor Churchill, that's right.
No, thank you.
Thanks, councillors. We might move on with the agenda. We'll invite Mayor Matt back into the room. Thanks, Rachel.
Are you sure?
It was a very important question, I think. It was a good response. Thanks, Eric, and thanks, Carly. And we'll move on now to item number G/4.2, Harvey Road Sports and Events Precinct, Business Case and Feasibility Assessment. And I'll hand back to Mayor Matt.
All right. Thank you, Councillor Goodluck. I might hand straight over to Carly and Eric.
Thank you. So our second report today is presented for Council's consideration of the Harvey Road Sports and Events Precinct Final Feasibility Assessment Report and Business Case, and propose the next steps for this strategic project. The intent to investigate the redevelopment of that site as a year-round multi-sport and events facility was adopted in the 2019-2020 operational plan. Council since undertook the master plan completed in mid-2019, which focused on the development of the Gladstone Coal Exporters Sports Complex. After wider consultation with users and key stakeholders, the project evolved to consider the redevelopment of the entire Harvey Road precinct to maximise the opportunities and usability for both sporting and event purposes. The redevelopment centres on a 2,000-seat capacity grandstand and a premier field located centrally within the precinct, supported by a total of 6 full-size playing fields, each serviced by changing facilities and adaptable to multi-sporting codes, as well as event layouts. At peak capacity, the precinct could host crowds up to 10,000. Capital investment required for construction is currently estimated at around $50 million, but please note that that estimate is based on a minus 25% or a plus 50% margin, and that's due to the project still being at concept stage. Future stages of the project would include relevant consent and permits, which due to the site characteristics and land tenure could take approximately 2 years. Further investigation of the governance structure and operating model, which can be done concurrently, and then detailed design and construction. This project is one of Council's published strategic priorities for 22-23, and whilst it may not be an immediate priority for Council, it's important we have our future eye on the best use of our strategic and community facilities and are forward planning in the event that funding becomes available to unlock the potential for our community.
Thank you, Carly. Councillors, questions to General Manager, please. Councillor Churchill.
Yeah, thanks for that, I support the officer's recommendation, but I just wanted to get a point of clarification in relation to the potential for the future use, because you indicated in your report there that you've held engagement, and I'll quote it, you've held engagement with the National Rugby League, the ALH Group, and the Rugby League Gladstone and the stakeholders, but I'm very mindful that the facility has been and has the potential to be used, and I suppose what's come out of the World Cup recently with Australia is the growing interest in be it soccer or otherwise known as football in the international world. But we've also hosted rugby union as well, and other options. So I'm trying to work out from your report in relation to the engagement, not necessarily of the current stakeholders, but the potential for future stakeholders. How broad have we been able to go to ensure that we can encompass local, regional, state and national, or even international, if we go to that extreme, So I'd just like to have an understanding, are we covering soccer, football, rugby union, and any other likelihood that the facility may be able to be used in the future?
Thank you, Councillor Churchill. I suppose the best way to answer that question, yes, we have been engaging with those key sporting agencies, but from a functional perspective, the instructions to our technical expertise that we pulled together to develop the project and the business case have focused on capturing the most that we can to service all rectangular sports. So the fields that you'll see, it's probably buried in the details of the feasibility assessment and also in the business case. We've designed conceptually the fields to be able to accommodate all those types of rectangular sports. So we have those opportunities to be able to host them should they come to us, or we strategically advocate and secure them for the region. The key thing of the business case is that we've focused on the site as a precinct, so it's about maximising use for the community for that site, and that's not just limited to sporting, that's also our outdoor open space for events and as such. So the short answer to your question is yes, we are, and we've functionally designed it so that we can capture that opportunity.
Thank you for that. The intent of my question was twofold. It's not just only the shape of the fields, it's the facilities that are associated with these major teams that do come here, because they, there might be only 13 or 15 in a playing team, but what they do, and we saw this with Brisbane Roar, they literally bring their A team and their developing team as well. So I try to understand going forward in any master planning is to make sure that we're able to accommodate not just the fields, but the associated facilities that they may need.
Yep. and that's certainly been captured in the functional elements of the main stadium or the main grandstand. So one of the key things is a series of the change rooms within the grandstand are multifunctional, so they can be divided so that more than one club can use them at any given time. As you'll see in the business case.
Including ladies?
Including ladies, yes.
Because, you know, women's sport is growing dramatically.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. So they're all the functional elements that we've included within the business case to make sure that we're providing as much of the functionality that any sport, rectangular sport that is, would require.
Okay, I'm sure there are other questions, but I'm happy to move the officer's recommendation.
Oh, okay. Before I take more questions, then can I have a seconder for the motion, please? Thank you, Councillor Goodluck. Now further questions? Councillor Hanson.
Yeah, I'm happy with the officer's recommendation, and we're following the investment decision process that we've got. My only little comment was on page. Sorry, my only little comment was on page 18, where we have immediate response to maintenance, and my concern is this project, even as it progresses, may not get off the. It may not get up until we get funding, and that's a big funding proposal. We have to keep the existing facilities going, and maintenance-wise for the grandstand sector is, etc., is very much a priority. So, where are we with that?
Yeah, I can confirm that any of the urgent or safety works have been completed at the site, and that the site is absolutely safe to be continued use, and that officers are bringing back a report to council as requested just recently on the future potential work that needs to happen at that site.
Thank you. Further comments, questions, councillors? When do you think that'll come back, Carly, the question Councillor Hanson's talking about?
Talking about the current maintenance program that we have.
I believe we can come back in January.
In January to tell us.
So all of the urgent and safe work has been undertaken.
Okay.
So all of the high priority risks have been addressed. This is more just around the future plans, regardless of any potential redevelopment that we might do at the site. What is the future works that is planned to occur on the current site as it is? So the next couple of years capital program, if there is any.
And more specifically, the costs.
Yes, that's right.
Okay. So if we were to hold a large event there in early February, it's up to the standard it needs to be at. Thank you.
It is absolutely, yes.
Right. Okay. Any further questions, councillors? No? Okay. I have a mover in Councillor Churchill, a second in Councillor Goodluck for the officer's recommendation. All in favour? Motion's carried. Thank you. Thank you, Carly. Thank you, Eric. Next item on the agenda is G3.4, which is a request for a negotiated decision notice, development application 28/2022, material change of use for an educational establishment in 3 stages at 2774 Roundhill Road, Agnes Water. And I'll hand over to the General Manager of Customer Experience, Rob Huth, and Helen Robertson. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr Mayor, and good morning, councillors. The development application for a material change of use of premises for an education establishment was lodged in April 22 on the 28th. After assessment against the planning scheme, the application was considered generally consistent, and therefore the material change of use was approved. As a result, a decision notice was issued on the 2nd of September 2022, subject to reasonable and relevant conditions. On the 12th of September, the applicant lodged changed representations against conditions 4, 15, 16, 20, 22, 23, 24 and 25. On assessment, the officers recommend retaining all conditions except for condition 25, which was amended. Conditions 15 and 16 seem to be the main concerns for the applicant, and is with respect to the construction 500 metres of footpath. I'm happy to take any questions.
Yeah, I have questions on the footpath. And we've got form on footpaths and schools. So we're requesting the school build a footpath from Can you show me where, what subdivision to the school?
If you could just go to the next video.
There's a slide in there that shows you the actual colouring and how far it is.
Yeah, I know. I just want to highlight that. But I was hoping to see the whole town at the same time.
Well, you can see the school.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, the school is already operational.
Yeah. It's a detailed assessment. Thank you, Helen. I guess can we bring up the...
This one?
Okay.
So the area marked in yellow is already conditioned for a footpath.
Already conditioned?
Yes.
Yeah.
And the area marked in blue is what we're proposing. It's the link from the site back into what we already have conditioned as delivering a footpath.
Okay.
Connecting into the network is the words of the planning scheme.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm not done on footpath yet. I just that footpath's not built though, right?
Not yet.
No.
It's under construction. The operational works for the shopping centre site is underway at the moment.
And then from the shopping centre back into town.
Yep.
So this will actually connect them back into town
Correct.
with a full footpath all the way. Okay.
Correct.
My understanding there's still going to be gaps. All right. Missing links. I'm sure you have checked on missing links. Well, at the moment, driving into Agnes, there seems to be a lot of missing links. So I didn't want to have to ask the school to build a footpath that went to nowhere,
No,
really much.
it's connecting into the network.
Okay. That was just there's 15 and 16. So they're both, one was asking them to build it to 2.5 metres and the other is to address the cycle safety. Can you explain the difference between the two?
The second condition was around the operation of the facility. So at the moment, obviously, we don't have a design of what that footpath looks like and how it's going to be operated. So if there's intention for operational elements, then we'd like to be involved in the consideration of those as well.
Okay. All right. I think that was my main questions because I know they've got somewhere else in there, they've got this student traffic transport management plan. So, yeah, but that's okay. So you're saying to me that with this condition remaining in, there will be a footpath from the school into town?
Correct.
Thank you. Further questions, Councillor Hanson?
Yeah, there's no doubt that that footpath is required, and the community has said that to me in the last time I was down there. And it's a no-brainer. I just want to know what the treatment is to get across Round Hill Road to the school. That's one. And also, should we be empowering a small project? The developer makes a good point. The other projects have gone ahead in that area without that, without the ask of funding a footpath. I know that the facility that's being built now, the shopping centre, is quite a large development and probably should be asked to build that sort of footpath, but I'm not sure whether we should be asking an amount of, what, $150,000 when the infrastructure charges are already $22,250. So that's a bit of a long question, but...
Yeah, so the requirement for the condition is based on the generator. So it's the type of use that's being approved at the time. So obviously a school is probably the highest generator in terms of active transport. That's why that condition applies. In instances where that's not the case, it's not always necessary or required. In terms of the cost of delivering it, is that your second question?
Yeah, the cost of delivering it and
the access
the
across
treatment,
the road.
the access, because, you know, that's not near the Bicentennial
Correct.
intersection too, which is another bugbear of the community at the moment.
Yeah, I guess without the detail of what's proposed, our intention is to connect to the network. That's what the condition requires, and we want to work with the developer in terms of what they're proposing and how that treatment works, etc. So it's something that it's an ongoing involvement with council in terms of determining what's going to be suitable in that location.
Yeah,
I don't have any predetermined requirements at this point, other than to obviously meeting the standards.
I know that you're meeting the standards, I know that you're following the planning scheme and everything, but I still think it's a big impost for a development this size, that's all.
Okay. Further questions, councillors? Councillor Trevor?
I haven't been to Agnes since I sold my house in March, but I do recall very clearly that proposed development is on a slight bend, perhaps even more than slight, and there has been a serious accident there in the past. I think all of us got an email in relation to it. I'm concerned that the footpath's on the wrong side of the road, and I'm concerned about how the kids are going to get across Round Hill Road. That would be my principal concern in relation to the development as a whole, in that I just don't know how it's going to work in getting children from that site across Round Hill Road to access a footpath that's on the other side of the road, and are we becoming joint participants in a serious safety issue that could endanger the lives of children crossing that road? Agnes was busy when I left in March. They tell me it's become busier. It's a burgeoning community, and that road is their main access point to the beach and all the other amenities down there at Agnes. I just, when I read this material and I looked at our condition, Helen, I held grave fears, having 5 children of my own, no longer school-aged, how it could potentially just be an accident waiting to happen if we continue the pathway all along there. It's just an invitation to treat to the kids to cross that road, to follow the path, to get to the shopping centre where they'll want to shop, no doubt, the new and the old one. I don't know. Generally speaking, I like the project, but I just had some grave fears in relation to wanting to continue a pathway on the other side of the road and yet having nothing in place to enable the children to safely cross the road after making it a condition or an invitation to treat that those children must follow that pathway and not the other side of the road. I'm probably continuing to hammer the point when I should stop, so I'll stop.
It's a very good point, and it has been quite a conundrum for us in our team working through those issues. The reality is that whether or not the footpath is there, that is what the children will do. The shopping centre will be an attractor, and kids will cross. So from that perspective, we know that a school should be an active and a connected use, connected to those types of uses. So the challenge is around providing a suitable crossing that meets with the standards, and also that operational element. For example, one opportunity might be in that operational element that it is lollipop ladies for set times, those types of things. There's a number of different solutions that are available to ensure that can be a safe crossing. And that's the next phase of this development, is really working through what those safety options are and how that can be delivered to benefit the entire community.
I believe, sorry through the mayor. I believe that the safety concerns are heightened because of the speed of that area as well at the moment, and I think TAG, sorry Mark, dropping you in this, but TAG has to have a really good look at that whole length of road down to Bicentennial Drive to maybe drop the speed limit to at least 60 so that we can have a little bit more safer access that you're talking about, because at the moment at that point it's 80 kilometres an hour. So I think TAG's got some work to do in conjunction with this development to get some more safety, as you're talking about, Councillor Trevor.
I agree with you, Councillor Hance. 60's far too fast. Even that bend is a shocker. It's an absolute shocker.
Well, you'd think it may be 40 if it's in school zone, school time.
I'd prefer it be 20.
Well, yeah, I agree with it should be a school zone at some point, but that's sort of not what we're just debating today.
Correct.
And I noticed that in the report a number of times it says that main roads were not a concurrence agency, which is handy to know because they wipe their hands of that road whenever it suits them, when it should be a main road, and they should be responsible for any treatment that's required. I do share Councillor Trevor's concern about it's almost like leading the kids to the bend to turn. So wherever there have to be some kind of crossing in place.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously it's going to be at the safest point. There'll be smarter people that can engineer that design than me. Councillor O'Grady?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I'll try and get my words together. My concern is, like, when the backpackers went there, it'd be over 10 years ago. There's always been an issue with backpackers traversing from further down Round Hill Road. And I really think we need a path, but I really don't believe that, Steiner School should be putting up the money, especially for the reason being, backpackers have been traversing that, and it's been very, very dangerous, actually, along there some days. And I agree with Councillor Trevor too. I think it's on the wrong side of the road because there is quite a big road reserve on the other side. So I'm sure it's road reserve that goes up to the shopping centre. So whether, like when it's that straight stretch, whether you could cross near the shopping centre and not so much down.
Yeah, where there's a suitable location with requirements for sight lines, sight distances and those types of things will all be considered. The future of that area also indicates a roundabout at that intersection, so that will obviously slow traffic as part of that, and it's the timing of who goes first in terms of delivering that. We need to consider all of those elements at the same time when we're assessing any of those applications. So that will be the process moving forward. At the moment, the works that have been conditioned on other developments are within the priority infrastructure area, which is shown in one of the figures of those maps. This is outside of the priority infrastructure area, and there is potential for the applicant to make an application to us to convert that to trunk infrastructure, and that's an option that's available to them once we start talking about designs. There's certain criteria for that. They need to design something that's over and above what is required specifically for the use, and that would be a separate assessment when we have a detailed design to work with.
It's a hard one.
I don't think it's hard. We do need the footpath.
We need to get the kids to the school safely.
But I'm not sure whether the school development should have the impost of the whole of that length of maybe a proportion.
Councillor Trevor.
Those things can be worked out as part of the subsequent conversion application. Doesn't prevent that from happening.
Looking forward, Helen, I think there's another school proposed on the right. So the school on the left, please help me with the name of it. Discovery Coast School on the left. I think there's a parcel of land now that has been acquired by another school. So at some point we would hope that another school will be built on the right-hand side of Round Hill Road to cover the future population growth, and a pathway will probably be built on that side eventually one day anyway.
Possibly. I haven't got any...
Long after I've since passed, perhaps.
My dream is that we have footpaths everywhere connecting us to all of our active and healthy neighbourhoods. Yes. Correct.
Councillor Goodluck.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. Sorry, Helen, so what did you just reference around
infrastructure area?
Something that can be worked out around the footpath?
Yep. So the applicant, under the legislation, the applicant has the opportunity to apply for a conversion application to convert the infrastructure to trunk infrastructure. So currently it's not recognised as trunk infrastructure in the priority infrastructure plan. If they meet certain criteria around that, which I can't tell you whether that does, we don't have a design to work with. So a subsequent assessment may prove that that footpath meets that test. If it meets that test, then we can enter into an infrastructure agreement and work out which parts council's willing to contribute to and which parts the development would contribute to.
Okay, because I fully appreciate the applicant's representations around the costs associated with this infrastructure. It's always an issue for proponents around costs. And I understand that, but we do have, I think, the forecast to be 99 students, with about 60 or so students at the moment. So there's kids that need to get to and from school, and I understand that, you know, they say that I think there was only 2.5% that purportedly ride or walk to school, but that's probably also because there's not a footpath. And I think as the school grows, there will be, we see it everywhere at every other school across the region, that kids walk, ride to school, scooter to school, electric scooter, electric bike, as Councillor O'Grady does. So these are all the things, and I think there's an expectation that we need to keep, you know, kids safe. And certainly from the community perspective, there'll be an expectation there. So it's good to hear that there is a pathway, I guess, where we can perhaps look at, if those criteria are filled, council making some sort of contribution to that. But I think the conditions 15 and 16, from my perspective, need to be met for this development. It is a high traffic, foot traffic development, as opposed to some of the others that are mentioned. So I'm happy to move the recommendation, Mr. Mayor.
Thanks, Councillor Goodluck. Before I take further comments, I'll need a seconder for that, please. Thank you, Councillor Trevor. Okay, over to you, Councillor O'Grady.
I'm just saying that, Councillor Goodluck, there are students already riding to the other schools in the area, so they're riding down Round Hill Road. They're coming from Bicentennial, so they don't have anywhere to cross or whatever, you know, now. So those children are still riding to the other schools, so there's no paths or anything there now.
And I fully appreciate that, and to me that makes, that's just another argument for the requirement of this infrastructure. So certainly I think we'd be happy to look at, if there is a conversion application that takes place, there's a pathway there for the applicant to look at council maybe being able to contribute to some of this infrastructure. And I think that, you know, we'd all be happy to consider that. But I do think if we remove that condition, we have no footpath. We know in 12 months' time, the community will expect there to be a footpath for safe passage of students to schools, and that's not an unreasonable expectation.
Councillor Hanson.
I agree, we can't remove the requirement, but how, just if we move and if we pass this resolution now, does it automatically give the opportunity, or do we speak to the proponent to say that they have an opportunity to apply with the trunk infrastructure process?
Yep, I'm confident they'll be watching the meeting, and the consultant would be aware of that, but they need a decision on whether the condition is in play before they can do that. So at the moment, they're arguing that the condition be removed altogether, and for a conversion application to be made, they need a decision, and they have a 12-month period in which, from that decision-making period,
You probably answered the question,
yeah.
Thanks.
To make that request, yeah.
Okay. Condition 15 is on the screen. I'm just making sure that we have a mover and a seconder accepting officer's recommendation, so that's that. Do you need anything added in there, Helen, about the conversion application, or it's just something that can have, like, I know that Councillor Hanson just asked that, but...
that was the question I was asking. Do we need anything into the
No, it's set in the legislation.
Mm-hmm. All right. But, okay, I'm just, it's very detailed. I don't necessarily, if it can be resolved at officer level and not come back, then that's probably an ideal. If it says, what if you determine that the footpath should be on the other side of the road with a crossing somewhere else? That's very specific.
There's other avenues for that. There could be a change application, for example. There's other avenues for that to be considered. So as part of working that through, that can happen.
So we don't need to take the detail out of the...
Yeah, I think
any change to the conditions would come back to council.
I think hence why a group like TAG should be involved now rather than later.
And who's the chair of TAG? Okay, very good. All right, I'm hoping he's listening to that. All right, councillors, any further comments or questions? Okay, I have a mover in Councillor Goodluck and a second in Councillor Trevor that the officer's recommendation be agreed. All in favour? Those against? Motion's carried. Thank you, councillors. We'll move to the next item on the agenda, then we're going to break for morning tea. Thank you, Helen. Thank you, Rob. Oh, no, Rob, you get to stay. G4.4, which is our animal inspection program for 2023. Over to you, Rob.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. This is a program we run each year and requires council approval to be endorsed. We intend to run the program early February through 2023. The objective of the program is to carry out house-to-house inspections to identify dogs that are being kept and if animals are registered and microchipped in accordance with the requirements of the Act and Council's Local Law Number 2, Animal Management 2011.
Thank you. I have a mover for the officer's recommendation in Councillor Churchill. Or is it a question?
Happy to move.
Moving, Councillor Churchill, seconded by Councillor Cameron. Put the question, Councillor Trevor. Thank you.
Thanks, Rob. Just two quick questions. The first one is a safety issue in relation to our officers. What protection does this council afford to our officers in relation to visiting premises where potentially there could be the risk of serious injury or death to our employees?
Yeah, thanks, Councillor Trevor. The inspection program is run with our water meter readers. So essentially, we don't enter the properties to verify that there's animals on site. We go up to the gate and have a visual inspection to see whether there's any animals on site. And so certainly, we don't have officers entering the property at that stage.
That's good news. Secondly, I just had an inquiry in relation to now that there has been some amendments to the law in relation to allowing pets in multi-level complexes. How do we patrol that in relation to finding out whether people in high-rise buildings harbouring animals that they are now allowed to do, notwithstanding bylaws to the contrary? Do we have a policy, or will we bring in some inspection process where we're able to identify unregistered cats or dogs in multi-level premises, as in high-rises? Because we've now got in Gladstone a number of high-rise developments, one of which I live in, and I'm keen to know whether our policy extends to multi-level complexes to make sure people are doing the right thing. The same as those who have a backyard.
Yeah, essentially, the inspection program covers off on the animals that were previously registered in the previous year, and where we haven't received a renewal registration for those animals. So they're the owners that we go chasing. So it's up to the responsible pet owner to advise council whether they've moved location and if they've sold the dog or the dog has passed away. So essentially, we don't go to duplexes and multi-storey dwellings knocking on doors looking for animals as such. We would be, any of those animals that aren't registered, we would only pick those up if there was complaints made by neighbours about noise and the likes.
Sorry, Rob, I always thought the animal inspection program extended beyond owners that had registered the year before.
Only if, because we have registered of where the animals are located. So as the water meter readers go around, and if they see a dog barking at the gate when they're reading the meter, and they check as to whether there's an animal registered at that location, then we'll chase them up after that.
Very cool. I was going to say, because if someone's registered their animal one year and didn't the next, it might just be a lapse, and they've obviously been responsible pet owners at one point who may have forgotten for whatever time, for whatever reason. Where others may never have registered at all. So,
that's right.
Okay, I'm glad to see that it includes everybody. Any further questions, councillors? Okay, can I have a mover for the officer's recommendation, please? Thank you. Beg your pardon? Oh, did I? I did too. All right. Thanks, Councillor Churchill. I did too. It's already moved and seconded. Rachel, you've got that? Okay, put the motion. All in favour. Motion's carried. And for those who missed the beginning of the meeting, we are breaking now for morning tea as we have a very special guest with us this morning, and that is Cole Armour, who celebrated 47 years with council and is heading off onto long service leave. So we're going to break for morning tea. It may be a little bit longer for those on live stream this morning as we acknowledge 47 years of council for Cole and almost 100 years at council for his family. So thank you, and we'll be back shortly.
Sign up to Council's disaster and weather event warning system. Receive alerts about emergency news, severe weather events and other public safety alerts via SMS or email. Registering to the disaster messaging system is free. To register, visit Gladstone Regional Council's Region Watch website and click on the Register for Warnings button. Get ready, Gladstone. Take the steps to protect what's most important to you. Let's be better prepared and protected for emergencies and disasters.
Gladstone Regional Council are committed to fostering a proud, involved and engaged community. The Gladstone Regional Council Community Investment Program provides financial support to local community initiatives, projects and events which promote community connections, regional enhancements, community celebrations and community education. For more information on the Community Investment Program, visit gladstone.qld.gov.au. Gladstone Regional Council. Connect, innovate, diversify.
Illegal dumping and littering is a concern across the Gladstone region, with over 134 offences in the last 18 months. Our region is beautiful, but there are a few bad apples that ruin it for the rest of us, and they need to clean up their act.
Commonly found items at illegal dumping sites across the region include car bodies and batteries, mattresses, tyres, white goods and furniture, and green waste. These items can be disposed of at any of the region's waste transfer stations, some of them even for free.
Illegal dumping and littering pollutes our environment, harms plants and animals, and detracts from the enjoyment of our public spaces. It can lead to stormwater and ocean pollution, with large amounts of plastic, sugar sachets, and cigarette butts caught in stormwater traps and grates.
It's cheaper for everyone to dispose of waste correctly. Illegal dumping and littering cost our ratepayers thousands of dollars each year in waste management and clean-up. It's also costly for our dumper, with penalties of up to $10,000.
We can all work together to keep our region beautiful and dispose of waste responsibly by placing rubbish in the bins, or even holding onto the rubbish until you're near a suitable bin, and using our local waste facilities. Don't be part of the problem of pollution. We want you to be a part of the solution.
From towns to the bush, illegal dumping and littering is everybody's responsibility. Protect our public spaces and natural environment by doing the right thing for today and tomorrow.
If you see illegal dumping,
dive in a dumper.
See it,
report it, stop it.
Sign up to Council's disaster and weather event warning system. Receive alerts about emergency news, severe weather events and other public safety alerts via SMS or email. Registering to the disaster messaging system is free. To register, visit Gladstone Regional Council's Region Watch website and click on the Register for Warnings button. Get ready, Gladstone. Take the steps to protect what's most important to you. Let's be better prepared and protected for emergencies and disasters.
Gladstone Regional Council are committed to fostering a proud, involved and engaged community. The Gladstone Regional Council Community Investment Program provides financial support to local community initiatives, projects and events which promote community connections, regional enhancements, community celebrations and community education. For more information on the Community Investment Program, visit gladstone.qld.gov.au. Gladstone Regional Council. Connect, innovate, diversify.
Illegal dumping and littering is a concern across the Gladstone region, with over 134 offences in the last 18 months. Our region is beautiful, but there are a few bad apples that ruin it for the rest of us, and they need to clean up their act.
Commonly found items at illegal dumping sites across the region include car bodies and batteries, mattresses, tyres, white goods and furniture, and green waste. These items can be disposed of at any of the region's waste transfer stations, some of them even for free.
Illegal dumping and littering pollutes our environment, harms plants and animals, and detracts from the enjoyment of our public spaces. It can lead to stormwater and ocean pollution, with large amounts of plastic, sugar sachets, and cigarette butts caught in stormwater traps and grates.
It's cheaper for everyone to dispose of waste correctly. Illegal dumping and littering cost our ratepayers thousands of dollars each year in waste management and clean-up. It's also costly for our dumper, with penalties of up to $10,000.
We can all work together to keep our region beautiful and dispose of waste responsibly by placing rubbish in the bins, or even holding onto the rubbish until you're near a suitable bin, and using our local waste facilities. Don't be part of the problem of pollution. We want you to be a part of the solution.
From towns to the bush, illegal dumping and littering is everybody's responsibility. Protect our public spaces and natural environment by doing the right thing for today and tomorrow.
If you see illegal dumping,
dive in a dumper.
See it,
report it, stop it.
Sign up to Council's disaster and weather event warning system. Receive alerts about emergency news, severe weather events and other public safety alerts via SMS or email. Registering to the disaster messaging system is free. To register, visit Gladstone Regional Council's Region Watch website and click on the Register for Warnings button. Get ready, Gladstone. Take the steps to protect what's most important to you. Let's be better prepared and protected for emergencies and disasters.
Gladstone Regional Council are committed to fostering a proud, involved and engaged community. The Gladstone Regional Council Community Investment Program provides financial support to local community initiatives, projects and events which promote community connections, regional enhancements, community celebrations and community education. For more information on the Community Investment Program, visit gladstone.qld.gov.au. Gladstone Regional Council. Connect, innovate, diversify.
Illegal dumping and littering is a concern across the Gladstone region, with over 134 offences in the last 18 months. Our region is beautiful, but there are a few bad apples that ruin it for the rest of us, and they need to clean up their act.
Commonly found items at illegal dumping sites across the region include car bodies and batteries, mattresses, tyres, white goods and furniture, and green waste. These items can be disposed of at any of the region's waste transfer stations, some of them even for free.
Illegal dumping and littering pollutes our environment, harms plants and animals, and detracts from the enjoyment of our public spaces. It can lead to stormwater and ocean pollution, with large amounts of plastic, sugar sachets, and cigarette butts caught in stormwater traps and grates.
It's cheaper for everyone to dispose of waste correctly. Illegal dumping and littering cost our ratepayers thousands of dollars each year in waste management and clean-up. It's also costly for our dumper, with penalties of up to $10,000.
We can all work together to keep our region beautiful and dispose of waste responsibly by placing rubbish in the bins, or even holding onto the rubbish until you're near a suitable bin, and using our local waste facilities. Don't be part of the problem of pollution. We want you to be a part of the solution.
From towns to the bush, illegal dumping and littering is everybody's responsibility. Protect our public spaces and natural environment by doing the right thing for today and tomorrow.
If you see illegal dumping,
dive in a dumper.
See it,
report it, stop it.
Sign up to Council's disaster and weather event warning system. Receive alerts about emergency news, severe weather events and other public safety alerts via SMS or email. Registering to the disaster messaging system is free. To register, visit Gladstone Regional Council's Region Watch website and click on the Register for Warnings button. Get ready, Gladstone. Take the steps to protect what's most important to you. Let's be better prepared and protected for emergencies and disasters.
Gladstone Regional Council are committed to fostering a proud, involved and engaged community. The Gladstone Regional Council Community Investment Program provides financial support to local community initiatives, projects and events which promote community connections, regional enhancements, community celebrations and community education. For more information on the Community Investment Program, visit gladstone.qld.gov.au. Gladstone Regional Council. Connect, innovate, diversify.
Illegal dumping and littering is a concern across the Gladstone region, with over 134 offences in the last 18 months. Our region is beautiful, but there are a few bad apples that ruin it for the rest of us, and they need to clean up their act.
Commonly found items at illegal dumping sites across the region include car bodies and batteries, mattresses, tyres, white goods and furniture, and green waste. These items can be disposed of at any of the region's waste transfer stations, some of them even for free.
Illegal dumping and littering pollutes our environment, harms plants and animals, and detracts from the enjoyment of our public spaces. It can lead to stormwater and ocean pollution, with large amounts of plastic, sugar sachets, and cigarette butts caught in stormwater traps and grates.
It's cheaper for everyone to dispose of waste correctly. Illegal dumping and littering costs our ratepayers thousands of dollars each year in waste management and clean-up. It's also costly for our dumper, with penalties of up to $10,000.
We can all work together to keep our region beautiful and dispose of waste responsibly by placing rubbish in the bins, or even holding onto the rubbish until you're near a suitable bin, and using our local waste facilities. Don't be part of the problem of pollution. We want you to be a part of the solution.
From towns to the bush, illegal dumping and littering is everybody's responsibility. Protect our public spaces and natural environment by doing the right thing for today and tomorrow.
If you see illegal dumping,
dive in a dumper.
See it,
report it, stop it.
Sign up to Council's disaster and weather event warning system. Receive alerts about emergency news, severe weather events and other public safety alerts via SMS or email. Registering to the disaster messaging system is free. To register, visit Gladstone Regional Council's Region Watch website and click on the Register for Warnings button. Get ready, Gladstone. Take the steps to protect what's most important to you. Let's be better prepared and protected for emergencies and disasters.
Well, thank you, councillors, and thank you to the gallery, and welcome back to those watching online. We'll recommence the meeting at 11:10. And the next item on the agenda is G4.5, which is our Regional Arts Development Fund Committee Annual General Meeting Outcome Report and Incoming Committee. And I'll hand over to the General Manager of Community Development and Events, Kylie Lee. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr Mayor and councillors and those in the gallery today. The Regional Arts Development Fund is a partnership between the Queensland Government and Council, and it's designed to support local arts and culture in the Gladstone region. Each year, Council appoints a chair of the RADF committee, Councillor Glenn Churchill, and also a secretariat service to the committee through the Gladstone Regional Arts Gallery and Museum. In 2022 AGM, we received 8 applications for the RADF committee. Representatives were selected both for their regional locality and also the wealth of combined experience they hold in the arts and culture sphere. The nominated committee consists of Melissa Peacock, Wesley Pitt, Norma Tanner, Lorna McGrath, Mark McLaughlin, Wendy Barker, Wesley Walker and Jack Viljan. Once endorsed, the committee will sign a code of conduct which outlines the performance expectations of this important council committee, and in addition, members will attend a comprehensive council induction process and training program in early 2023. This year we're very excited to also incorporate an arts law workshop which will enhance the governance and decision making for the RADF committee. I also have our Manager of Arts and Entertainment here with me, Kim Markson, who is also part of the RADF committee as an ex officio, and we're both welcome any questions councillors may have.
Yeah, we might throw to Councillor Churchill in a second as chair, but I just want to say what an awesome committee that is, the wealth of experience you've managed to encourage, or I don't know how you got them all to agree to be on the committee, but you've done very well because that's a fantastic lineup there. Councillor Churchill.
Yeah, thanks, Mayor Matt. I don't really think there's much more that I can add at this stage from the General Manager's perspective, other than I suppose to note that Bindi War, who has been a sitting member, a long-time sitting member, is resting from the committee because it says in the requirements that you do a maximum term of 4 years and then take a break for a year and then come back on again. But I also at the same time believe that Bindi is endeavouring to become part of a state organisation. I don't know the exact details on it at this stage. Perhaps Kylie or Kim might know what's happened there, but we wish Bindi all the best, and we'd really like to think that, as I've said before, that she's a boomerang and can come back onto our local RADF committee, but exemplary and mindful, and I put it on public record, that these people on the committee are volunteers in a voluntary capacity and do some great mentoring as well. But yeah, no, totally endorse the officer's recommendation.
Councillor Hanson.
I'm happy to move the officer's recommendation. Just one question. You're talking about education. Is the governance as part of that education? Thank you. Thank you. I'm happy to move the officer's recommendation.
Thank you. Seconder, please. Thank you, Councillor O'Grady. Any further questions? Councillor Muscat.
Thank you. I also wanted to highlight the commitment and the, I guess, the work that the volunteer committee do. I had a few maybe just questions and just to clarify things in relation to the criteria process of how we, I guess, select. I looked at the minutes, there wasn't anything there. I haven't really been involved in, I think I looked at it a few years ago as to, what people have to demonstrate in relation to their abilities and experience, but also just to check if their values and their alignment to Gladstone Regional Councils and the state government, in this case as a partner, align. That's also related to the code of conduct. Thanks for mentioning that. I do note that there's inductions there, and I have to ask the question as in how it is that we ensure that the values of the people in the committee align with the Gladstone Regional Council's values, and also how we deal with breaches of conduct. And how the committee members are made aware of sometimes what's appropriate and what isn't, and how to conduct themselves publicly, and also with the mentees that they are assigned to.
Okay, thank you for the question. Back to the start of the question. So when nominating, the committee members do have to speak to their connection to arts and culture in the region. As Kylie mentioned, we also look at things like locality, making sure that we have a representation of the whole region. It is a nomination process. They then need to be seconded by somebody else in the community, and then it goes to a vote at the AGM. So there's not specific criteria that they're needing to meet, but it is a majority votes. We then will do a full induction with the committee, and that will cover code of conduct, confidentiality, good governance, conflicts of interest. All of that will be signed by the committee, and therefore becomes something that we can, manage performance or behaviours against. So the Gladstone Regional Art Gallery and Museum's involvement is that secretariat role. So we will obviously be monitoring any feedback received by mentees, by the community, and then act on that as required.
Thank you. That's great. And is there any thing that you can add in relation to I guess if there was any breaches of conduct, what would be the process to follow?
My understanding of the process is that we would address it one-on-one with the committee member, but then we would also need to seek a decision from council then if perhaps we weren't to continue that committee member in the committee. But we would take a path of performance management, for want of a better term, before we went down that avenue.
Yeah, thank you. Just wanted to make sure that we keep thinking of our values and that all the other, everyone in this committee continues to be successful. So thank you.
Thank you, councillors. Any further questions or comments? I have a mover in Councillor Hanson, second in Councillor O'Grady. All in favour? Motion is carried. Thank you, councillors. I'll move to the next item on the agenda, which is G4.6, Community Investment Program Elevator Fund Applications. And sorry, before I go to Kylie Lee, I just realised that there might be some people in our community that see a potential conflict of interest for myself, as in RSL sub-branch, because for two reasons. As a member of the Gladstone Foundation Board of Advice, we've allocated $500,000 to the Gladstone Anzac Memorial Bowls Club and Citizen Club, which is the same premises, and also as a candidate in the federal election, we allocated another $250,000 to the Gladstone Anzac Memorial Bowls and Citizens Club. So I don't believe that, similar to like Gladstone Basketball and very separate to the Boyne Tanham Aquatic Recreation Centre, which is a council project. This is not a council project. I feel like I should be able to stay in the room. I don't think it really affects my ability to vote in the best interest of the community. However, I'll put that to councillors to decide, and happy to leave the room if they'd like me to. Councillor Trevor.
Matt, are we trustee of the land for, I'm just trying to remember what, I think council's trustee, and that might wipe you out. Because I think the land is owned by the state government, but the trusteeship is held by us.
Well, that would be the same for all of our sporting clubs, though.
Correct. It is a reserve, council a trustee, and we've leased.
Yeah. The difference between the projects is one is council is, what I've determined before, with what council's determined before, is like with Gladstone Basketball and others where there has been funding, we're not the proponent, whereas council is the proponent for the Aquatic Centre, even though I'm actually not in the room for the council discussions or any other developers' proposed discussions on it. They're very different to a project from a different proponent that we're not actually the...
Oh, don't get me wrong, I'd love you to stay. I enjoy your company, but the issue, and I don't want to get into splitting hairs, but it's really just, I'm raising the issue to protect you, that's all, and maybe should we give it some further consideration? I don't know. Once you decide to stay, well then the decision's made. I'm wondering whether we should think about it. I didn't want to drop you on the spot, but maybe we should just think about it.
Let's hold the item over for a little bit and give council time to think about it and we can come back, do you think? Well, I'm happy. I don't want to set a precedent where I have to leave unless council want me to, and then once that's precedent set, then I won't be in the room for any discussions about the RSL, which I obviously care deeply for because I've been involved in two organisations that have funded $500,000 and $250 million. This is another $13,000 from council to fit out the drop-in centre. I don't feel there's a conflict, but you know, I think everyone in the room would share my same passion for supporting our veterans.
Maybe not. Oh, I share for the veterans. Sorry, you put that.
That's all right. I love it when you finish.
You might have jumped the gun. Let me be specific. I share your sentiment on the veterans.
Yes. So let's just.
I'm not sure whether I share your sentiment on whether you should be in the room or not.
Well, that's fine. Well, council has conflict of interest. Previously determined I would stay in the room for basketball.
No, I wasn't here, Mr. Mayor, but I agree that was happened. Yes.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm happy to do whatever the council decides.
My question at this particular stage, and I'm prepared to move the motion, but I'd like to know the difference at this stage, perhaps through our governance officer, is that what's the difference between the RSL Gladstone sub-branch and the Gladstone Basketball Memorial and the other ones that we've moved motion to stay in? If there's no difference, so I'll ask the question, is there any particular difference between the RSL Gladstone sub-branch project and the Gladstone Basketball Multi-Sports Memorial project and whatever the other one is?
It's really a matter for councillors to determine, based on this, on its own merits, as to whether you think there's a conflict or not. In terms of precedence that's been set by the other ones, we do lease directly to Gladstone Basketball Association, but as the Mayor said, it's not our project, we're not the proponent. We don't actually lease to RSL, we lease to the Bowls Club. RSL do occupy that as a subtenant, but we don't actually lease to them. If you're looking for matters of differentiation, that's really all I have to...
Happy to move that you don't have a conflict of interest and that you will represent the best interests of residents and ratepayers in relation to the decision.
Before I go to Lisa for that, I need a seconder for that. Councillor Goodluck. Lisa.
I just in considering what the Mayor declared in his declaration, I think another difference was that the Mayor said as part of his role in the Gladstone Foundation, money had already also been provided to this group. So I'm not saying it's a reason to vote one way or another, but that was probably another difference to the previous declarations, just to be clear.
Yeah, okay, thank you for that clarification. I can understand, I suppose that raises, is the Gladstone Foundation still going, is it?
There's about $100 and something thousand. I
thought your intent was to disband it. That's another argument or a debate.
My intent was to spend the money, and I think we've done very well in spending the money with $100,000 left.
My motion stands.
Okay, Councillor Trevor, are you...
Sorry, I should be a bit more, I don't know what I'm going to say. Formal I meant. Sorry, I thought I was talking to you outside. It's fine. It's fine. I just raised it because it's just one of those issues that you've just got to be very careful these days when it comes to conflicts. That's all. And I only raised it for, as we all do, protect each other when sometimes you're thinking cap's not on.
Yeah, I read the report and
wasn't, but what I'm suggesting is that we're here to help each other, not to hinder each other.
Yep, Councillor Goodluck, do you have something to add? Yep.
I don't think you have a conflict of interest, Mr Mayor, and I've got absolute confidence in your ability to represent the best interest of our community when determining the Community Investment Program Elevator Fund applications for $13,600 to the Gladstone RSL sub-branch. I'm happy for you to participate with no restrictions.
Thank you, Councillor Churchill, and good luck. That's been moved and seconded. Any further comments or questions? Okay, I put the motion. All in favour? Motion's carried. I will stay in the room. Now over to you, Kylie. Sorry, I read it and I didn't pick up on it either, but then I realised, hang on, someone might say something.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. This morning we are considering a recommendation from the Community Investment Panel to fund 3 applications under our Community Investment Program Elevator Funding Stream. I've got Libby Cattermole with me here. Libby is our Community Investment Program Officer who administers our program. The report indicates funding 3 of the 4 applications received for the Elevator Fund. The applications were assessed based on the criteria that's included in your report for the Elevator Fund. The 3 that have been recommended for funding are very strong applications. One is from the Gladstone Chamber of Commerce and Industry for their Buy Local campaign for 23-24. One is for the Calliope Garden Club, which is installing safe and presentable flooring in their facility. And the other is the RSL Gladstone sub-branch for the Veterans Drop-In Centre fit-out. You'll note in the report we are utilising Council's new assessment matrix, which allocates a level of funding based on the score given by the panel, which is obviously in line with the objectives that we have with the program. The one application not recommended for funding is based on the strength of the application, which is from the Gladstone Athletics Club, which is for a new discus cage. We have recommended that the Athletics Club engage the support of Not-for-Profit House under our grant writing service that Council has funded as part of the Together Gladstone program to strengthen their application, and we would re-invite an application for funding from Gladstone Athletics. I open any questions from Council.
Thank you. Councillor Hanson.
I have a conflict with Not-for-Profit House. My wife runs the thing, so...
There's no recommendation to do...
No. Just to make sure everybody knows that that's the case.
Okay. Excuse me. Councillor Cameron.
Yeah, thanks, Mayor. RSL Gladstone sub-branch. I noticed that their application was for $16,000. But the recommendation is 13.6. I think clearly the application was a little bit weak from the applicant in some ways, in that it didn't fully articulate what the drop-in centre is for. I think they were of the perception that this is a social thing, whereas it's quite the opposite. The full intent of all those renovations going on there is to assist the RSL with assisting returned servicemen and women with post-traumatic stress disorders. And these are conference rooms, interview rooms and the like. Now that didn't come through in their application, which is a bit of a shame. I'm not criticising the outcome. I think you read that to the letter and to the T, and everything's great, but I would really like to see another $2,400 go to that fit out to give what they asked for. I know they're struggling. They've been trying to get this addition done for over the 2 years. It's been delayed because of procurement of materials and whatever, and costs are blowing out exponentially, so they really do need every help they can get. So if you could throw that out there for consideration.
All right. Would you, anyone further questions, or would you like to move that, or would you like to? Okay. Okay. All right. So you accept the officer's recommendation with the addition of the RSL being funded to 1,600 instead of 1,300, 600. Can I have a seconder for that? Thank you, Councillor Trevor. Councillor O'Grady, question?
Sorry, I think we need reasons.
You just got to have, you've got to be careful. You've got a process here. You've got a process and you've got to have a reason why we haven't adhered to the process. And we developed the process.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought Councillor Cameron outlined his reasons, but by all means repeat yourself.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying that we have to have that reason written down in, yeah.
It's not a planning application, but okay. That's fine.
I can't confirm. Reasons are required under the regulations to be recorded in the minutes whenever we have a deviation from an officer's recommendation that is not consistent with policy or practice. So I can't confirm it's not consistent with our policy in terms of the percentages, but it would be prudent to just capture them just in case.
Well, did we capture what Councillor Cameron said before? Would you like to it hasn't been voted on yet. I've only got to move in a second and there'll be more discussion, but I need those reasons highlighted then. I think you've articulated it very well. Councillor Trevor?
And the project is to assist our veteran community and our returned soldiers with medical conditions, including but not limited to post-traumatic stress disorder associated with their service to this nation.
Thank you. Grady, question?
Yeah, thank you, Mr Mayor. I just want to move to the Gladstone Athletics. For years and years and years they couldn't get funding because of where they're situated. And I can understand how you've come up with giving them the assessment. But I just in the project beneficiaries here, you've got we've serviced our local local primary schools and high schools, and looking to create partnerships with the local special schools. And down in the panel commentary at the very last line, this application would have strengthened their application by a specific with that they would like to collaborate. So they've already said they'd collaborate with the high school and primary school, and they're going to hopefully collaborate with the obviously Rosella. So that's just I think that just contradicted itself, just that first line.
If I may, Ms Mayor, I think the comment there is about specific details about who, like they may have just said, we're going to collaborate with the schools rather than this is a particular program or a way or a how we're going to do it is how I interpreted it. Is that
I
correct?
understood they already collaborate with the high school.
Yeah, so it might be similar, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, Councillor Cameron, but what I thought I heard you say before was that you know information about the project that hasn't been clearly expressed in the application, and this may be a similar...
That is exactly
well,
it. I don't think the applicant clearly articulated what the centre was for, because a couple of the panellists' comments were, oh, they could do this in Phillip Street, but clearly they don't understand what this thing is all about. Another panellist made the comment that this doesn't add to community support. I mean, it can't be a shared benefit type thing. It can't be because of the nature of it. So I don't feel that the applicant clearly articulated the full use of what this is for, and that's why they didn't quite make the mark for the full funding.
Sorry, I just need the answer for Councillor O'Grady first, then I'll come over to Councillor Muscat.
Thank you.
We can only go on the application that's submitted for us, Councillor O'Grady, which is why we have, after this meeting, we will be going back to the Gladstone Athletics Club and encouraging them to utilise a service that would strengthen their application, and then looking to resubmit.
Yeah, and like I said, I understand that, but I just thought it contradicted each other. So thank you.
Councillor Muscat.
Thank you. I'm actually, again, what we just discussed right there for that application for athletics is the same thing that I would say about the RSL, the sub-branch of Gladstone. We have a process that is an assessment of applications, which have criteria, which is there. We are to assess on what's written in the application, not on what I know, because someone told me or because I'm passionate about that that topic. I mean, we have the same situation with the Calliope Garden Club. They've been assessed to a percentage, and that is being reduced to 85% of what's been offered to them. So I think this outcome, as recommended by the officers, is great. I love the fact that we have a lot more diversity and variety of projects that we now do and fund. I feel really, really proud about that, where we can support, you know, ex-servicemen and women. We can service people that choose to do gardening for their therapy needs or their friendship or inclusion needs, or just because they love it. I, as a councillor, I trust the process that we put in place as an assessment of the applications that come in. The recommendation to me in this case reflects perfectly the process that we put in place, and it represents the applications. So what I know about different clubs, whether they're struggling or not struggling, or if I like gardening more than gymnastics, it's not to be used as my my driver or motivation for voting one way or another. So I don't know if we have moved the change of that, but I won't be supporting that. And based on that, because not everybody has access to ourselves to tell us their story, so then we can come here and change the recommendation of officers. So if we come to a place in which we can actually understand, you know, maybe what's changed in the last 3 months, or well, not even that, because we don't even take that long assessing these applications. If they can't articulate that, then they need to we can help them to articulate that next time. But it's not, we need to be fair and equitable, and we need to assess these applications with the same baseline and the same way in which we assess them. The same criteria needs to be assessed to all of them, needs to be applied to all of them. So I love all the projects here. I think it's wonderful, so thank you. And again, I'm really proud that we can now support more diverse projects, not just very important sporting activities like we used to.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
You should have stopped before you mentioned sport.
I said very valuable.
Oh, very valuable.
Very valuable sporting activities.
Thank you. Councillor Hanson.
Yeah, I'm very sympathetic to the RSL and the Garden Club for not being able to succinctly provide us the information that's required, but there are 1,000 other clubs out there that are relying on us being generally in line with the way we assess projects and the process that we use. We've been around the community just recently talking about it to the clubs, and I would expect that most clubs would think that if the process is there, we have to follow it. If we don't meet the process, then we get less funding or we don't get funded. So I'm happy to stick with the process and the recommendation. But we've got to move in a second. I'll be against that.
Okay, all right. Councillor Churchill.
Can I just get an understanding of what the motion is from all those discussions?
Yeah, the motion still remains from what Councillor Cameron moved. He moved an amendment to the officer's recommendation, which is to approve all except an addition of $2,400 to the Gladstone Veterans Drop-In Centre to $16,000 from the officer's recommendation of $13,600. Otherwise, still approving the Gladstone Chamber of Commerce and Industry as recommended, and the the Calliope Garden Club as recommended.
Thank you for that.
Any further comments or questions? Councillor Goodluck.
I do agree with process, and that we should try to adhere to this process, which gives equity across the board for when we consider these applications. But I do also think that councillors sit around this table, and sometimes councillors that do sit around this table can add value to that process. This is the final step in the process, I guess. And Councillor Cameron didn't have me at the start, but then he got me in the end. But I also think there is a difference to, you know, if we look at the Chamber of Commerce Buy Local campaign, $18,000, 75% score on their application, from my understanding, and I'm happy to stand corrected, but I think they've got a, you know, someone who's probably very well capable in grant writing, possibly a full-time person who's paid and does that sort of thing. As I said, happy to stand corrected. But then we've got the RSL sub-branch, which is, you know, a volunteer organisation, certainly probably not as well versed in that grant writing things. And I do think, you know, in comparison, if we're going to give $18,000 to a Buy Local campaign, which is a great campaign as well, we can give $16,000 to the sub-branch to try and undertake this project, which is providing a vital service to many people. So usually I'm not in favour of stepping away from policy, but I'm happy to go on the journey today, which is probably going to please some people and disappoint others. So that's the nature of what we do here. It will be remembered. I've got no doubt you'll bring it up at a later date, Councillor Hanson.
He doesn't forget, ever. Ever. Sorry, Councillor O'Grady, did you ask your question before? No, all good. And any further comments or questions? Councillor Muscat.
I understand where you come from, Councillor Khan, but making assumptions as to the capacity of each organisation is also not something that I like to do. I think, again and again, I love the services that all of these organisations provide. But these assumptions, and I do understand that we add value to it, but we add value in this case when it comes to designing the process and the policy.
And in turn, educating the community.
And also we invest a lot of money, thank you, with our road shows. We also invest money, Councillor Hanson, but with not-for-profit house to provide that one-on-one help. And to me, this is, I want to give all of them all the money, but that isn't, you know, by giving, but not sticking to the process and the assessment criteria, we also disadvantaging other people. So that's where I'm coming from, not because I don't want to give the money, it's because I want to be fair. So, and I want our assessments to be equitable across the board. So that's why I will not agree with this recommendation, amended recommendation.
Yeah. No worries. Any further comments or questions? Councillor Trevor.
I'd be happy to give all the communities that have applied here today the full amount. Would you like me to amend the resolution?
You've already seconded the current recommendation. I don't need an amendment to the amendment.
Maybe I jumped too soon.
Okay, I'm going to put the amendment, which is that what I've previously read out before, moved by Councillor Cameron, seconded by Councillor Trevor, and that becomes, I'll put the amendment first actually. All in favour? Those against? No worries. I'm actually going to go back again to that same thing just to be sure. And now it's that I'm going to move it as the motion. So moved by Councillor Cameron, seconded by Councillor Trevor, that become the motion, even though I don't normally do it this way. It's against policy, and I'm going to be sure to be sure. We'll put the motion now. All in favour? And those against? The motion is carried. Thank you. Different way of doing it, but that's also, I'm not even sure we needed a reason, but it's done anyway. Thank you. The next item on the agenda is G4.7, which is proposed public art installation, Tarragoola trees, and I'll hand back to Kylie. And Kim, thank you.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I'm joined again with our Manager of Arts and Entertainment, Kim Markson, for a really exciting proposal for a public art installation by artist Katrina Elliott for the Tarragoola trees. Under Council's public art policy, we do assess public art requests that come to our council. Our RADF committee does assess those and then provides a recommendation to council. Our officers also assess these applications as far as meeting safety objectives, meeting policy and making sure their governance is intact as well. This particular art installation is in Calliope, entitled Tarragoola Trees, and it's in the form of artistic wraps around the tree trunks. Each wrap has a wire casing to protect the tree and also to ensure the artwork is secure. The artist has, in this case, given full consideration to the safety and driver distraction and has chosen trees that are further from the road. This particular project has been endorsed by the RADF committee and has the assurance that the request meets the objectives of the public art policy. I invite any feedback.
Councillor Hanson.
Yeah, Katrina has a great record in public art, and I'm very, very happy to move the officer's recommendation.
I move Councillor Hanson, seconding Councillor Churchill.
Happy to second it if you'd allow me to make a comment in support of Councillor Hanson's comments.
If I allow you.
Yeah, would you allow me to make a few comments?
Absolutely, Councillor Churchill. I'd love
to. Well, just first and foremost, this is an exciting project, but they're not asking for any funding. They're not asking for any, Katrina Elliott, everybody would know Katrina Elliott, exemplary artist, as Councillor Hanson's indicated, but they're not asking for any funding. And that alone is to be applauded in what they're hoping to do. But I'd also like to perhaps pose the question now, because it does comply with our current public arts policy, and we're really, really going on a journey, and it's pleasing that you would consult with the RADF committee. I believe the last time the RADF committee were consulted on this type of major public art policy may have been was it the Zonta project for the Civic Centre. So it's been a while. So they all got excited about it, the fact that you would ask them what their thoughts are in relation to this type of public art. But if it complies with the public art policy, my question appropriately is, where does this all fit now? Because I think this is going to be the start of another journey of public art, because we've seen others that this council has unanimously endorsed recently, down in the CBD and down in other parts, and then down in Auckland Street and Tank Street. So we're going to see more of this, and I think this is a first in what could be, a whole of region approach. So I'd like to know perhaps, and I'm totally supportive in seconding Councillor Hanson's motion, but where do we go now with master planning for public art? Because we talked about the master planning of public art during our budget process. So I'd like to know what the current, what's the current status as we go forward in relation to public art, if you wouldn't mind.
Thank you very much for the question, Councillor. I really do appreciate it. It's actually very timely. So Kim and I, as part of our work plan, have the Public Art Master Plan on our list of things to do starting in January 2023 with delivery by June 2023. So Council will have a Public Art Master Plan to guide us in the installation.
I mean, that alone is extremely exciting, because it's not only just about this particular project for Christmas that'll run over a couple of months, is that when we do, the Boyne-Tannum Aquatic Centre in the future, and rather than it being a planning and development requirement that we ask someone to do some signage on the front of their building, we can actually do a master plan that would be consistent right across the region. I think that's extreme. 2023, did you say? That's exciting. Anyway, thank you.
Well, Councillor O'Grady first, and I'll come back to Councillor Hanson.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I think this is a great project, but I just couldn't understand why it actually came to council, because it's now the 6th of December, and how long will it take Katrina to install the project? So I was wondering, so I'd imagine she would have applied or written in some sort of application a few weeks ago. I just wondered why at your level that you couldn't approve this and had to come here. Like I said, it's a fantastic project, so I really think we've lost a few weeks already by it coming to council chambers, that's all.
It's in the current policy, Councillor O'Grady. The public art policy requires that public art is tabled at council following an endorsement by the RADF committee.
I thought it was the other way around. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Hanson. And then Councillor Muscat.
I was just going to say that, again, I move the motion that council support the public art proposal received by artist Katrina Elliott, and approve the use of the trees along Tarragoola Road, Calliope, for the proposed short-term art installation. That's all I was going to say. I moved it again.
Moving again. Okay. I would still like to give other councillors a chance before I put it. Councillor Muscat.
I don't really have any questions, but it is good to see that I believe it's the first time that we have, I guess, exercised something in the public art policy. So hopefully it's the first of many, and I can't wait to see it in Calliope, which is just growing and, you know, getting nicer and nicer every day. So it's yeah. So hopefully this is also an encouragement for other people to do the same. And I know there's heaps of other opportunities in relation to, you know, well, comes our ADF or other grants and funding that we can offer to encourage more people to do that. It reminds me of the polls down in Agnes as well, which I think I guess the artist didn't really approach us that necessarily. They just went and did it, but it was because it was dealing with ergon and a few things. But they did talk to us anyway. I know, but not necessarily. Do you want to say something about that?
I think one of the things that we could do next year also is really promote the public art policy and the process. A lot of artists aren't aware of our process, and sometimes they do seek out the guidance of Gragam, and sometimes they don't. So having the master plan in place and having, I guess, a bit of an awareness around what the public art policy looks like and how it processes is something that we should be doing as part of our business as usual.
Yeah, that's great. And you here, and I know it might be a different department, but it's been brought a number of times in the community. Just it's not a huge issue or anything like that, but ideas that it's not just art, but also sometimes incorporate some of that vegetation that has different smells and textures. I know we do a great job, I'm not saying we're not, but and Katrina's done it in the past where she's incorporated plants and nature to art pieces. So I know that I'm happier when I'm around flowers, so, and the same will apply to some. There's a number of different studies that talk about
Councillor
smells.
Hanson is too.
Right. So we need to make Councillor Hanson happier. So. But yeah, there's some cities have incorporated also different plants that have different scents that are linked to happiness. Sorry, might be a bit out there, but yeah, not them ones that you're thinking about. But yeah, thank you.
Are you going to ask the motion be put?
I was going to do a point of order and put the motion to be put, just to spice things up a bit. Thank
Thanks.
you, Mr Mayor.
Well, I predicted you're very predictable, Councillor.
Moved a point of order for years, and you just predicted
Years?
it out of the blue.
I don't know about
thought I was
years.
being spontaneous.
I just like to make sure everyone gets their fair share of comments and things like you always do. Moved by, let me see, was it Councillor
Don't need me to. You don't need me to second
I moved it twice,
do you?
Mr Mayor.
Moved twice by Councillor Hanson, seconded, not twice, but nearly by that many times by Councillor Churchill. I'm going to put the motion all in favour. Thank you, it's carried. Before you go, Kylie, I'd like to acknowledge in the gallery today we have our Citizen of the Year, Amber Rogers, who is joining our Australia Day committee, and the nominations have closed for our Australia Day Awards next year. And we also have two other members of our awardees from last year, our Young Citizen of the Year, Aaron Yeh, and our Arts and Culture Award winner, Chelsea Elvery, who will be joining the committee. Hey, can you just give me a 30-second update on where that's at before we move to the next item?
Absolutely. Councillors, this year we will progress with a community-led assessment panel for our Australia Day Awards. So we are utilising the experience of our 2022 winners, and they're very graciously volunteering their time to assess. We actually have 80 nominations this year, 80 nominations, which is double what we've had in the past. So our assessment panel have got their work cut out from them most absolutely, and joining our winners from last year, winners from this year, Councillor Cameron and Councillor Branthwaite. So we were looking forward to bringing you their recommendations in January.
So it was a good decision to throw it open to a community assessment.
It was.
Councillor, do you agree now?
I think you'll find it was my idea in the end, Councillor Hanson. You've only been arguing it for 20 years, but I made it happen in the end. Anyway, it's a great way of going forward. We got, as you said, 80 applications, and I think that has got a lot to do with the fact that we've got a committee outside. So well done, Councillor Hanson. You finally got it removed from the table, and thank you, Amber, for your involvement in what's going to be a lot of reading over the next month or so. Anyway, we'll move to the next item on the agenda.
We did put the motion.
We put the motion. Don't make it again. Next item on the agenda is G 4.8, which is Ralph's Diving and Salvage Sole Supplier, and I'll hand over to the General Manager of Finance, Governance and Risk, Mark Holmes. Thank you, Mark.
This item is for your consideration of a sole supplier request for some engineering treatments to repair our sewage outfall at South Trees. So there is only one supplier that's local and reasonably available to us, and that is Ralph's Salvage and Diving. So the recommendation is there for your consideration.
Move Councillor Goodluck, seconded Councillor Cameron. Any comments, questions? Put the motion. All in favour? Motion's carried. Thank you, Mark. You're still here for the next one, which is G 4.9, Amendment to 2022-23 Fees and Charges. Back to you, Mark.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I've got Elise with us, our Manager of Revenue, to answer any questions you may have with respect to some modifications for our fees and charges. So as you know, we can look at amending our fees and charges any time throughout the year, and we're looking at 4 sets of amendments that have come for your considerations today. The first of those is with respect to a new fee for tree replacement. That is essentially to do with a driveway applications, and where sometimes as part of a new driveway that's been put into a property, we're requiring that essentially a street tree to be replaced. So it's looking and making sure that we're basically replacing that tree, and we've got that tree cared for and maintained and established moving forward for a period of 12 months. Also looking at reintroducing some camping fees that were removed and alternative measures put in place during COVID. Essentially what we're looking at doing is reinstating those fees for essentially going back to where we were pre-COVID in that space. Further looking at some new fees with respect to memorial parks on council assets and park furniture, which is in line with a previous recommendation of council to look at installing that and outworking that administrative direction that was done earlier this year. And the last one amendment there is with respect to the Maxime Bruce Community Meeting Place out at Phillip Street, and the recommendation from the committee there as to the introduction of some fees there.
Thank you, Mark. Questions? General Manager, please. Councillor O'Grady.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Mark, I'm just wondering in number 2 here, it says the island campgrounds. Can we make that a little bit more specific? The general public wouldn't know where the island campgrounds are.
Yeah, we can do that in the description and outline exactly where they are. So yeah.
Thank you.
Councillor Churchill.
This should be an easy one. I'm trying to work out what a removable asset is. In number 3, Memorial Park. So I just need an example. What's a removable asset? And furniture. I can understand park furniture. But what's a removable asset? A toilet block's removable. Oh, is it?
Rob's considered this.
How do you make a removable toilet block? Oh, a mobile one.
Yeah. Yeah.
Essentially, it's a small asset that can be easily removed. So it could be a barbecue, a shelter, a seat.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. So it's not fixed to a location.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further questions, councillors? No. Can I have a mover? Councillor O'Grady, seconded Councillor Churchill. Put the motion. All in favour? It's carried. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is G 4.10, Queensland Audit Office Final Management Report. Back to you, Mark.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. This item is tabling of the final management letter and report from the Queensland Audit Office with respect to our audit for the year ended 30 June 22. So it's a requirement under the Act that we table the final findings from that audit. And as you'll see in that, there was only one minor issue that was raised during that audit with essentially some of the calculation processes for our prepayments. We're working through the balance of those carried forward issues, of which there is 2 outstanding, and a lot of our works delivery efforts will look at tidying up those actions. So for your essentially moving and noting, and can answer any questions should you have them.
Any questions, councillors? Very straightforward and required to be accepted by council today. Move Councillor Hanson, seconded Councillor Trevor. All in favour? That's carried. Thank you, Mark. The next item on the agenda is G4.11, which is council appointment to the Capricorn Pest Management Group.
So, councillors, as part of when you established your memberships of your committees back in April 2020, we appointed Councillor Goodluck and Councillor Cameron to the Capricorn Pest Management Group. Councillor Goodluck has indicated a preference to step away from the committee due to other commitments, and so we're looking at this point in time to seeking another representative from council to join that committee.
I heard Rima Rick was interested.
Yes, I don't think we can leave it just with one member. 2 voting rights is good, don't you think?
2 voting rights.
It would be still the same. We don't want to drop one of our voting rights out.
No.
Yeah, no, happy to.
I just threw that out there. Is anybody else interested? Otherwise, I'm happy. But no, not that I'm aware of.
Snooze, you lose, but I'm happy to nominate... no, sorry, Councillor Branthwaite. No, I'm happy to nominate Councillor Hanson. I've enjoyed the CPMG. It's a collaboration between Rockhampton, Banana Shire, Emerald's just recently come on board, or Central Highlands, I should say. And Councillor Cameron's done a fantastic job, mate. I'm sad to leave you. Unfortunately, I have my children on Wednesday nights, and most times the meetings are on at 9 o'clock on a Thursday morning, and so I can't always make it if it's in Rockhampton or Emerald or Banana. So I'm happy to nominate yourself, Councillor Hanson, if you're able to step up there.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Seconder,
mate.
please. Thank you, Councillor Churchill. I'm going to... any other further comments? No. I'll put the motion that Councillor Hanson be appointed. All in favour? Thank you. That's carried. The next item on the agenda is G4.12, which is the cancellation of the general meeting for the 3rd of January.
So move, Mr Mayor.
No, I'm going to amend it. Well, otherwise we'll be doing this again next year. So I'd like to amend it that the general meeting for the 3rd of January 2023 and the 2nd of January 24 be cancelled, in line with actually what we have always done in terms of holding our council meetings on the 1st and 3rd Tuesday of every month, with the exception of January. I'm going to move that way. Second, thank you, Councillor Goodluck. Yeah. Everyone, any further comments or discussion? Put the motion. All in favour? Motion's carried. Thank you, councillors. And there are no councillor reports. There's no urge. Oh, hang on, there might be. Is there a verbal councillor report?
Yeah, just got a quick one, Mr Mayor, that the CQ Rock Resource Recovery Plan is coming to a finalisation, and the final plan is before us now. It has to be assessed by everybody on the committee, and then it'll go to CQ Rock Board as well. Yeah, there are some items there that are fairly cost prohibitive, and there'll be some firm decisions needed by councils to go ahead with some of the stuff that's been recommended. So just to let you know that that process is still flowing through, and it's just about complete. And once that plan is complete, I'll bring it back to, I can send it to you on email.
Thank you. So any further verbal councillor reports? Councillor O'Grady.
Yeah, thank you, Mr Mayor. About a week and a half ago, I attended the Advanced Rockhampton luncheon for the Mayor, and it was really interesting. They spoke about Rookwood Weir and what's happening around the area, because they'll have extra water. So, of course, there's macadamia nuts going there, and they've bought a lot of grazing land, which is sort of blew me away actually, because I thought, oh, you know, why would you grow macadamias? But yeah, macadamia nuts farming has actually started, and they've started planting there. So it was a really interesting meeting. Also, they announced that, you might be able to help me with this, Mr Mayor, they announced the day that Mount Morgan Heritage
Minerals
actually have reopening the gold mine too, which will be fantastic for Mount Morgan. So yeah, it was a great gathering. Thank you.
It is good news for Mount Morgan. They're going to get
Yeah.
water and jobs.
Yeah, exactly.
Going to make that town a happy place again.
Yeah.
Good luck to our neighbours there. Any further councillor reports? Councillor Muscat.
Thank you. I just got two quick things, and I think we did. I'm a member of the council's Audit Risk and Improvement Committee, and at the last meeting last Wednesday we said goodbye to our chair. So we just wanted to, well, I wanted to, on behalf of everyone, to thank her publicly for the work that she's done over the years. We have a new person, and everything should continue as is, and you know, normally with great engagement from our staff and the guidance from these very skilled people. So thanks, Kerry, for what you've done. And we will miss you, but we all have her phone number anyway. So, and the other thing I wanted to raise is myself and a couple of the other councillors went to the launch of the Disability Community Network launch last Friday, I believe. The chair, Kate Duffy, she's been involved with council in a number of different roles, including at Phillip Street. And now they're going to, in a more structured way, do more advocacy around accessibility and the needs of people with different abilities in our region. And I was also talking to our officers the other day, and they advised me that we have one of our operational items for next year is in relation to improving our accessibility and inclusion around the region. So that's great, also in combination with the announcement of the Year of Accessible Tourism. So it might be a great time for us to dedicate more resources and apply for more funding that should be available to make sure that our region is accessible to everybody. We also had received some comments from down south, some of the areas that receive a lot of visitors, and how important will be and beneficial to have areas that are more accessible, not just for our residents, but for our visitors. Now, one of the first tasks that the Disability Community Network Network Group has announced is they want to make sure that Gladstone is aware of what it's called a companion card. A companion card is a card that a carer will be able to access. It's actually the person with the different ability will hold that card, but that card is able to be used for their companion, so they gain entry or discounted fees to the places where they will accompany the person to. And at the moment, I did a search, and we have only 9 businesses in Gladstone, in 4680 postcode, that is registered to accept this card. So I would like that to improve, and I would love all of us to make sure that we do something about that too.
3 of those are ours, aren't they?
Actually,
Maybe
yes.
4.
So we have the entertainment centre, the library, the swimming pool. There's also a gym, the Gladstone Bowls Club, I believe, and
PCYC.
The PCYC, exactly. And there's another business I can't remember now.
So could you approach Chamber of Commerce on that and speak to them about that?
Yes, that's been raised too, and GAPDL was there. So, but everybody is able, you know, that's definitely what the group is going to be doing. But if we can all support them, it will make a lot of difference. So and I like to believe that it's just a lack of awareness of the card. It's not like people here don't want to participate. It's just that we don't know about it. So, and the information can be found on the Queensland Government site as a companion card Google search. So, and maybe we can do it too in our premises to display a notice that we accept it. And that also shows a community spirit of inclusion and willingness and to go the extra mile to make sure everybody feels welcome. That's it.
It just reminds me too, with regarding disability access, that we have a process, I believe, attached to all of our project management when we're renewing a building or when we're building a new building. I just want to make sure that is enacted. Can I see some work that we've done recently and that part of the project management is being enacted? Because I think we had a little bit of trouble originally with Phillip Street, and it shouldn't have happened that way. It should have been done properly by the builder or by the project manager, should have noticed all that sort of stuff. So I just want to make sure that we are sticking to and adhering to the project management regarding disability access to anything that we change in any halls or anything that we change or upgrade or whatever. I think that's in the process. I just want to make sure that that's happening. Thanks.
Thank you. Councillor Muscat, you finished your council report?
I'd like to say also that I recognise Councillor Rigg for his advocacy over there many years on this topic too. This isn't just me. This has been discussed for a number of years. So, and not just Councillor Rigg, but I'm sure other people here too.
The groups to be encouraged, the new group being formed is to be encouraged to give it to us. And as a matter of fact, the way they see it.
Excellent. Any further council reports? Councillor Cameron.
I haven't got a report. Look, I'd just like to add to that when you do your advocacy and you're looking at disability problems with buildings, under the Building Act, they refer to the Australian standard, that if you comply with the Australian standards, you're doomed to comply. Any advocacy you've got, I would recommend that you forward that on to the Australian Standards Association for them to consider to upgrade their standards. Because, across the building industry, it won't get there unless it becomes a part of a standard that can be referred to. So that could be something that could be quite valuable in the long run. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Cameron. Any further councillor reports? I'll just echo Councillor Muscat's comments about Kerry Phillips. Thanks for being the chair of our ARIC committee and wish her all the best. Okay, there's no urgent business, no notices of motion and no confidential items. I declare the meeting closed at 12:10. Thank you for your attendance.